On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO. Sorry, there's a slight tech diff there that you don't know about, but it paused for a second. We're going. Hi.
Okay.
We're going to talk to you about new JP banners and events. They keep happening, and more will continue to happen. Also, it's our anniversary, kind of already, but not quite yet. Only a little bit. And we are going to continue to chip away at Lostbelt 6, now starting talking about part 2 of 3.
Yay.
I'm one of your hosts, Omega. That voice over there is Lucky. There were a lot of intro jokes I could have done, but I don't think any of them were funny. Earlier, I was thinking about trying to do some kind of play on Eiffel 65 with being blue. That didn't really go anywhere. I was also thinking about something to do with Final Fantasy 16, but nah, that's not really that funny either. So we're here. We're just here, Chad. How you doing?
Well, speaking of how everyone's doing, I hope you are all enjoying Fate Grand Order, aka 3 Parts of a Whole. And while we here at Studio Mega like to bring you the latest in FGO-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events for both the JP and EM version of the game, so anyone not want to spoilers should get ready for the fireworks.
Somebody in Patreon chat just speculated we'll be doing Lostbelt 6 talk all the way till JP anniversary. Hopefully not, but possibly. It's real dense. Also, I need to save this one GIF.
Got a Wizard Money game?
Yes, I may need that later. We love casting spells. But alright, hello. This is Let's Take FGO, and this episode, like most of our episodes, is brought to you by our patrons, like Adam Hart, Black SOG, Call Me Zed, Carlos, Dragon, Ferris, Fight the Iceberg, Jerry Vasquez, JDV 9000, Just the Faith, Jonathan Sandoval, Starlight, Legendary Bone Hunter, Liam Kessler, Regent Raptor, Rise of Kenji, Rogue Rowan, Sharvor, Shunpire, Some Guy Named Bob, and Varian the Crow. If you like what you want to see more, consider supporting on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies. It really helps us out. Thank you for your support, everybody.
Thank you.
And that's how you know that my brain is probably mostly okay, because I can't think of the intro to that very well, but I can read it all out in order. But okay, we're here. We're doing the show. The show is not live this week, because it's probably going to be a little shorter than some of the last shows, not accounting for me exploding that one time. But there's a decent amount of content to talk about, but not as much, because as I alluded to with my failed jokes earlier, Lucky and I both have the Final Fantasy 16 debuff.
Yeah.
So look forward to more of that, talking about that on What's Up, as now we can finally unpack some plot stuff. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to run through our usual business. We start with pro tips. Check with everybody's favorite Kohai, MASH.
Senpai, 起きてください.
Because it's time for Wake the Fuck Up Senpai Regs for pro tips. I have 2 of them. Number 1, the AX panel is on the 2nd of July, which is, I believe, the Sunday. Yes. So expect Anna stuff technically that night or Monday morning, depending. I don't actually know if they'll have to give us a maintenance or not. But yes, expect that then. Also, because we're close to it being July, do we already have 5-hour maintenance scheduled? Okay. So yeah, technically Monday morning then.
Not a bitch.
But, hey, also, because we are so close to July, we've announced July's exchange items this month. Almost said this week, but this month. I mean, it works for a week, but there's 3 more weeks after that. You can access soaps, feathers, and small bells. Yay.
Bells.
Everybody's super hyped about the small bells. But yeah, so keep that one in mind. Alright, brief check-in with Rackets on the Throne, our regular achievement topic. Just me this week. Lucky's all bannered out.
I am.
I have been attempting tickets and stuff on the Melusine banner, and no luck so far. But I did on, I think it was a weekly ticket technically, get MP2 Chinengyu, funnily enough. Lancer banners, man. It's weird.
Lancer banners.
It's real weird. No fanfare. Just flipped a gold Lancer, and I'm like, oh? And then it was Nengyu, and I'm like, no, that sounds about right. Hey, MP2, baby. I think she does actually really like the overcharge, so that's not terrible. It's not like it's just damage, it's, buffs. But that means there's no evil. Robyn will write something funny there, and we can move on to, did you finish your master missions? They're very simple. You need to defeat 5 servants, defeat 15 Saber or Berserker enemies, and that doesn't count servants or certain story bosses, and that's the same for 15 Lancer or Caster class enemies and 15 Archer, Raider, or Assassin class enemies. And then also acquire 15 and 30 EXP cards from battles. So, yeah, not even really do, the story stuff. I think even these master missions might be expecting you to be caught up on story already. Mostly I think they want you to be farming dailies because we're expecting Annie stuff to be soon, but not quite yet. So you're probably going to run on your EXP, not your DXP, your EXP dailies, over for that. That'll get you your cards. You should get some EXP cards from drops and story quests, but I don't know if it'll be enough to get all your stuff. So yeah, keep your eye out for dailies, y'all. And of course, if you want to get all those non-servant enemies out of the way pretty easily, I'm pretty sure you can just punch Fuyuki really frequently.
Punch.
There are many skeletons of many classes you can beat up. Skeleton classes. Anyway, speaking of skeletons, time for Skelegrams, because there's some news. Anyway, number 1, JP Paper Moon Summoning Campaign number 3, starting the 25th of this month, going until the 16th of July. Big long banners. Oh, hey, it's Durga.
I activated my neurons.
So yeah, limited SSR Archer, Durga Kali, and Duryodhana is back, plus new CEs as well. So that's 2 banners on this story limited guy, and then also a limited one. We'll talk more about that later in new servant details, but yes, banners. This just continues my theory that we're looking at an early preview for Summer Medusa.
Mhm.
A joke I will take to my grave 1 month from now. But that's not all JP's doing. They're actually doing quite a lot of stuff right now, because they're in a little bit of a lull period. So first of all, they had 28 million downloads campaign, starting on the 28th. Do you think they did that on purpose?
Probably.
Yeah. Going until the 12th of July, sorry. Read up one of my notes. Log in for 10 days total to get a lot of stuff, including, if you log in for 10 days straight, 30 Saint Quartz at the end. So really juicing those events there. Also, you get extra teapots for daily missions. You can earn bond points for limited time master missions. So basically, there's a little checklist of limited time master missions, which are earn so many thousands of bond points during the event period, and you can get some Saint Quartz that way. They've also got the usual Da Vinci shop extra inventory, both in the Mana Prism and Rare Prism shop. And until specifically the 5th, you get half AP Embers and half AP QP, double suck chance, 20% bond for dailies, and also half AP interludes and rank ups. And technically I wrote this all as one note, but I believe the half AP interludes and rank ups is actually also till the 12th. It's not just the 5th, it just, flowed better. But also, hey, we got banners, multiple banners actually, for some Summer Saber faces. Specifically, anyway, you've got banner number 1 is Ruler Bunny Artoria, Summer, and Summer Okita. Banner number 2 is going to be Maid Altar and MHXX. And banner number 3 is going to be Summer Artoria Original Flavor plus Summer Mordred. So, yeah, bringing back all the lovely little Summer Artorias. At least in the headliner slots. No, Summer Okita Altar yet, but she's not actually Artoria. It's funny how that works out. I do believe this is all of our actual factual Summer Artorias, though, with double X in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just good to see a million downloads come about. And they also announced, though it's only just now available on the 30th, Advanced Quest number 16. You've got a CE for Spirit Roots. I believe that's brand new. One for Gears and one for Dragon Fangs. Is this Dragon Fangs number 5? I think it might be. Also, yes, the Blonde Rin image is a new CE. The people at home have been seeing it this entire time, but that's what it is. We also have the broadcast commemoration campaign for Strange Fake Whispers of Dawn, because that will be world premiering this weekend sometime. That starts the 30th, goes until the 7th of July. Log in for a few days to get some MP, some QP, and a commemorative CE. Also, they're doing that thing where Enkidu and Gilgamesh's interludes are unlocked even if unsummoned. So, just cute little nod, get a CE, do some stuff. Now for JP, as we rounded our Japan tour here, they have announced there will be a new event in early July that will require Lostbelt 6 cleared. No further details at this time, but letting you know that we're going right away back to back. Basically, obviously, there's some dead time for all the banners to catch up because it is a story release, but we're going straight from Ordeal Call basically into, a new event, which requires story clearance, so we'll see. I don't know if it's summer. The presumably fake ass, because there's so many of them that are all wrong, but the leaks have been out in force about oops, all Lostbelt 6s. I don't think that's gonna happen. That's not usually how we do summers. First of all, you have to account for the fact that there's always going to be at least 1, if not 2 units on an FGO summer that come completely out of nowhere. You're just looking at the list and I was like, I would never have thought Summer Charlotte Corday. It would never have occurred to me, Summer Gareth Saber. You can try to overthink it and overpredict, but they always catch you off guard. Yeah, Summer Woo also is another crazy one, I think. Especially as kind of the aged up version. It's just like, what? Huh? I mean, it could be Summer Babo, but I don't actually know. I feel confident in a Summer Morgan just because, but other than that, I don't know. But yeah, all we know is that it requires LB6 cleared, and the image they have for a preview is a lot of trees. So, don't actually know. We'll see. Early July. Have they? Well, they don't, strictly speaking, necessarily have to do summer reruns, but I assume... Actually, I don't know. I don't know if they would rerun last year's summer banners before they started the new summer event, so that is, I guess, kind of a question mark. They probably would do something to give you an opportunity to get more summer Valkyrie welfares, though, so we'll see. Anyway, that said, we do have one bit of NA news that's been rolling out, obviously, as we're still chewing through Lostbelt 6, which is, technically, our 6th anniversary commemorative campaign has started. Started the 28th, and it goes until the 12th of July. So, we already got that ball rolling. There was a 60 St. Court social media campaign. Technically, it's still ongoing, but I'm fairly certain we hit it. It was for, 50,000 reactions, I want to say, and I think that, last time I saw it on Twitter, several days ago, mind you, it was at already, 40K alone on Twitter. So, yeah, we absolutely blew the fuck out of the park. You show people 2 10 spins, and they'll get out there. That'll be distributed on the 3rd, so after maintenance. But yeah, people were... Listen, Nissan really was out here saying, hey, you want 60 quartz? And we were like, fuck yeah, I do. So we also have unlocked the first 8 memorial quests, which are Part 1 themed. You can get 1 CE exchange ticket for the World Tour, and also 7 summon tickets. And until the 2nd, there is a Sherlock banner, plus some CEs from his original anniversary banner time. So, the usual pre-Emulous stuff, the stuff to get you a little fired up. Yeah, a lot of people are, I should mention that as well about the event. They have a stream scheduled in JP for July 5th, so we should assume that is when that event will drop. But yeah, no, technically we've already started our anniversary. Y'all can work on your memorial quests. They're not really that complex. I think the main thing is just me trying to remember how the fuck demon pillars work. It's been so long. But, yeah, there's a few fun strats in there. Also, I don't know, some of these bosses, I think they may have re-chunkified their HP, but that makes sense. So, yeah. You got a few things to pick from. I haven't picked my first CE yet, so we'll see. The other 2 quests, which I believe are both Lostbelt 5 themed. Yay!
Yay!
That'll be the 3rd as well. That will include the 2nd exchange ticket for your 2nd CE set. So, lots of fun to be had on our tour overall. I'll probably get the Ishtar one first, but then I have to see what the other one is, because there are a lot of good ones.
I immediately slammed the grab comma button.
Yeah, I knew you would. Yeah, the comma one's good this year. I mean, there's a lot of really good ones. I was looking at one and I was like, oh, that's really nice. And then I was like, wait a minute, fuck, there's a Carmilla in here, because I can't get this much love for Carmilla in the actual game, but every time there's a fucking CE exchange, Carmilla's artist comes out with another banger. God, where the fuck is this love in my core game, guys? Yeah, but that might be my 2nd pick. I'll see. But there's a very nice Ishtar one this year.
Clearly, we need Stanta Carmilla.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
But all right, that is all of the news. Only took us about 15 minutes to get through. Obviously, like I said, we'll vibrate more for Durga Kali later, but that's when we can actually talk about the unit.
The unit. The absolute unit. I don't care what anyone says.
Yep. We're resuming.
We are resuming?
Yep.
All right, well, when we are resuming, that means we gotta get a Newman. So, that means it is time for this week's Let's Talk FGO mailbag, the segment where we read what you have to say and comment accordingly. This week we have 15. A good, healthy, strong number. Mama would be proud. But without any further distraction, let's get right on into it, eh? Our first one comes from Arts Connoisseur, who now wishes to raise Britain. Is it raise or rose? I think I've actually heard. I feel that's a very weird word. I want to raise Britain. I was like, do you mean to lift it up or burn it down?
Well, that's
not
what you
entirely
spell
sure.
with a Z.
Yeah,
now, if
but
you want to be
know...
but that's pronounced the same, then we're going to have to go back in time and fight English.
But they say, hello, Lucky Omega. After finishing LB6 Part 2 and the revelation of the Lostbelt's true nature, I had a question for you two. Sorry, because you said that, I quickly read ahead, and I'm going to have to yeet this one, because I feel like it's getting into slightly spoiler territory.
Yeah, this is, I think I mentioned it earlier, but I don't remember if you were there or not, but I remember saying that we would probably have to skip one because they were explicitly like, hello, I have a question for you after finishing Lostbelt 6 Part 2, and I'm like, ooh, well.
I am sorry, my dude. We are trying to avoid spoilers, specifically for areas that we have not covered on the show so far, and some of this stuff I am going to assume does, because it implies some things. So, I'm very sorry, but we will have to skip it.
Come back to us later.
So, with that, we are going to move on. The next one comes from a master willing to endure Kali's wrath all to see Durga smile. No. This is what you do. You got to get Kali's smile as well. All smiles all the way down. Listen, this is what you do is you just have yourself cover yourself in blood. Perfect. You have a killed demon in one hand. Everyone's happy. Let me see here. Oh. Hey, Lucky Omega. Hope your week has been cooler than mine. AC has gone kaput, so trying to beat the heat. Oh my god.
Ugh.
I think I would have to go fight someone if my AC broke.
Sorry, burp there. I was gonna say you have to go fight the sun.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a Call of Cthulhu game right there.
Also, that one episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh god. I don't want to think. Just thinking about that episode makes me hot. I'm just like, ugh. It's illegal. Oh, Alter was already on hand for taking care of the company buffs. Good on him.
No, Loth might have said this, actually. We discussed it yesterday. Unless it tells you who activated them.
No, it tells me. Loft did it before, and looks like Alter did it late.
Okay.
Oh, actually, no, weird. One of them's at 10 hours, the other's at half an hour. What? What is this? Hang on.
I don't know how that back end of 14 works, so I can't comment. Technically, just before I started streaming on Thursday,
I see. I see what happened. Loft did a dumb. Loth, I had previously stated that for the Make It Rain campaign, we are going to be running the MGP buff, so people doing Gold Sponsor contests will get just a little bit more. Loth didn't actually put up the buff; he put up the combat buff. So Alter went back later and removed the combat buff and put up the MGP buff. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay,
so it's because we swapped one with them, right?
Yeah.
I thought that would be it.
So
anyway,
this person goes on to say, as I've been slowly but steadily progressing in Lostbelt 6, I look at the Paper Moon servers and I feel really excited for the future. My question is this week, what would you like to see in a Cordial Call as a story focus? I would love to have one of the parts focus on Melty Blood, if only to give Arculid some time to shine in main story. Sending you good vibes, wah 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 wah. And may your conquest of Britain be glorious and terrible. Wow.
Yes, there's a strongly recurring theme in the fandom of like, you know what? No, Punching Britain is good, actually. Fuck them fairies.
This is always the weirdest thing. You never see particular hate about one character except Beryl, because everyone's like, fuck Beryl. But no one seems to actually like dislike the characters, but they just hate the Lostbelt as a whole.
Britain sucks.
It's just Britain. Just all up Fairy Britain. Destroy it.
I wouldn't say we necessarily need to specifically be a Melty Blood focused, but I would... I'm trying to remember. I think in Archetype Earth's profile, they said it was just kind of like a weird one-off to celebrate the anniversary, but I would not be surprised if she also might get a cameo later just to see stuff, because obviously, like, I'm pretty sure Castoria was never pitched as like, ooh, look, cool, it's a funny anniversary thing. It's just like, this will be important later.
Honestly, I don't necessarily...
By the way, I'm working on the Koyanskaya of Light Wanted now, and her profile straight up says, this is a special circumstance for the 6th anniversary. Don't think about it too hard. But yes, you were saying.
I'm not entirely sure what's going on with the Paper Moon. Like, I've seen some shots, I've heard some things, but I don't actually know what's going on. So I don't necessarily understand what the purpose of, the Ordeal Calls is. It's the Ordeal Calls is, except to, understand certain classes better.
Yeah. So,
like, without the full context of what they're actually doing and what they're supposed to be, I'm not entirely sure. Like, this first one is just like, everything's coming up fucking Ronnie. And a lot of Sakura. That's all I got. That's all I fucking got. Hinduism? Everywhere.
I mean,
so I'm just like,
Well, we're not done with the part yet. X is like, oh, we didn't fix the Bleached Earth yet. Yeah. At no point did we actually discuss how that was... Lucky and I have been talking about this for literal years. We have not actually discussed where our part in the action plan is. We actually fixed that part. I assume because part 2 isn't technically over, we're still working on that one. Like, I'm pretty sure it's an action item in our PowerPoint, but we haven't got there yet because, well, listen, there's only... No, we're not. This is still part 2. It is not EOR. They said that. This is actually... I clarified that this was earlier asking about this being EOR, and we're like, no, this is more like the third act of part 2.
Yeah, this is season 3.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, no. What I was going to say earlier was Novum Chaldea is like... We actually got all the names. We're what, like literally like 15 people?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's under 20.
It's under 20. I wrote that all names down.
Yeah, so we can check on later. But yeah, no, it's
Wait.
it's-
Do the Nemos and Nemo Marines count as multiples?
The Marines definitely don't count as multiples.
Okay.
Those are all technically wow, really fucked that up. Those are all technically still Nemo. Oh, is my 15 right on point? Damn, I'm good. But yeah, no. So like, anyway. That's unrelated to this person asking a question about Order Your Call story focus. But I agree with what you were saying, Lucky. I don't actually know because they're not Lost Belts, so I don't actually know what the stories are supposed to be representing.
Mhm.
I assume we're doing some deep dives on some extra class stuff, like you said. So that'll be nice to see, especially because it is kind of funny they decided to turn this into a plot point, but like for a while it kind of felt like we were just throwing out extra classes like candy, you know?
I think the joke I made was that the Counterforce just gave us their credit card and went sick and said, "Go nuts."
Yeah.
And we did, and now the Counterforce is like, wait.
Yeah, now the Counterforce got the credit card bill and is like, what? How? How have you done this? But yeah, no, there's so many, like, even before, like, the Summonable Beast thing, which is obviously very funny in context, but, like, you know, we started with, you know, Rulers and got Avengers pretty fast, and then, you know, Moon Cancer, which is another clusterfuck of a class type. Alter Egos are really weird and problematic in their own ways, because they're, you know, just kind of out there, fucking foreigners, pretenders, is just... It's all over the place, and so, like, I'm glad we can actually maybe get into this a little, so it'll be cool to see, but I think I've managed to actually avoid a lot of side blow, like, story spoilers for the new content, probably because, you know, we have now firmly partitioned our spoiler chats into EN spoiler chat, which for me is still on mute because everybody's way the fuck ahead of me in the Lost Belt, and also JP as a separate spoiler down section, so, like, there's talking about, like, new servants and showing off fan art, and then there's, like, talking about, like, oh my god, here is a translation of this thing from the story, but I'm not, like I said, I'm not really getting blown out by future spoilery news, so I don't know, we'll see. Somebody in our chat said they feel pretty confident that Ark will be coming back in story, and I also kind of agree that I suspect she will later, so we'll keep seeing.
We will see. And I'm excited. So, with that, though, we are going to move on. This next one comes from a master who hopes his save 3,000 Saint Quartz is enough for NP5 Coin Sky of Light. That is a lot. Actually, hang on. Let's see here. Don't mind me, Lucky's just doing math.
Mathematics.
Close enough. I'll round that up to 18. Oh, wait. Okay, there we go. Jesus. So I just did the quick math. That 3,000 Saint Quartz is approximately $1,500 worth. That's a lot.
Well,
That's a
let's
lot.
see. Well, how many are they aiming for? NP5? It's possible
Yeah.
for sure.
It's possible. God, I would love an MP5 Coin Sky of Light, but I look at my numbers statistically, I'm like, I don't think I could do it. Like, I'm going for minimum NP2. No one's gonna stop me from there. But after that, I'm like, shit. What do I do?
Yeah, raw stats wise, I think that several people are saying 1,500 Saint Quartz is about average for NP5. So statistically, you should be okay. But we'll see, I guess. Call us back later.
Yeah, I hope for the best for this. But this person has more to say. Dearest Lucky and Omega. Oh, we're dearest. How do you guys usually manage your CE storage? Do you burn copies straight after an event rerun? Have a mass clear out every few months or years? Just burn as and when you need more space? Always feed them to other CEs? Any other methods? Great. Thanks for the great show. Always listening to you both is a highlight of my week. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I like being called dearest. It makes me giggle inside like tee. But as for your question, I do kind of a combination of all things right now. So usually after a event first runs, what I usually do is I cram all the CEs I can into however many maximum break copies I can get, and then burn the extras. Then after the rerun happens, I then burn all the copies except one, and I keep that for posterity. I do try to keep one copy of all CEs, with the exception of a couple. Like I have 3 MLB K-scopes, and at this point, I just burn any K-scopes I get. I have 2 MLB fragments, working on a third one now, and I'm considering maybe getting a second demonic I can't pronounce words. Bodhisattva. Thank you. And most times, usually, unless they're like actual craft CE, craft the feeder CEs, you know the ones I'm talking about. I usually just burn them. Yeah, EXP CEs. Thank you. I usually just burn them. I just burn them away because I'm very, very bad about leveling my CEs. I do have a couple like level 100s. Like, guys, you don't understand. I have a level 100 limited 0 over. I put that shit on Super Orion and he just power walks. Ooh, because that's like plus 2,000 attack right there. But other than that, I think I only have a level 100k scope, which is, also, gives me the 2,000 attack oomph. But I think, yeah. Also, how I handle my CE storage is I actually have all my CEs in my second archive. I usually pull out the ones I need for things because I realized at some point that constantly scrolling through all my CEs trying to find specific ones can become a bit of a pain. So I just yeeted them all into the back pocket, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say that in particular. My strategy for event CEs is basically the same as Lucky outlined. Is when the event is over, collapse everything, ditch the extras, and then rotate them into second archive and bring them out if I need them, and if I don't need them anymore, get rid of them.
I do appreciate that second archive now. It didn't always used to do this, but it now does lets you search in your second archive for like event CEs and stuff.
Yeah, they've done a lot with adding the UI filters and stuff. It's pretty cool. But yeah, my current problem is I'm still even with I need to take another rotate and burn or rotate out permanent CEs because my CE storage is getting full. Because I don't want to lose all my copies, and I usually compress everything maximally. But there are quite a lot of CEs, and there are new ones getting introduced, and sometimes you end up with redundancies. So I probably need to do a little bit of cleanup. But that is definitely talking about like you mentioned earlier, kind of a mix of all things. I will definitely occasionally look at my number of oh, my CE storage is getting pretty full. Okay, I need to do a big rundown here and throw some stuff in second archive, maybe burn off some stuff I'm never going to use and get back to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have a level 99 Prisma Cosmos that I need to scooch the last couple levels on.
Alrighty then, so let's move on to the next one as Lucky tries to do Leap of Faith in the background. This next one comes from Unlimited Mystic Spiral Fluid Works. That is a name.
It's a little spinal fluid.
They say, I am pumped for anniversary. Hope everyone has good luck on their GSSR banners. For Omega and Lucky, what is the largest number of Lottie Boxes you have opened in an event? Man, that requires me to remember numbers. I can't do that.
Yeah, I'm not good. I think it might be 30.
Oh, I've definitely done more than 30.
Yeah, I know you have, because you've been set up for, Freak Out Automata and stuff. You've definitely done more than that. I'm still doing a lot of stuff manually. I think 30 is my highest.
I know I've done at least 50. Have I ever done 100? I might have not.
I don't think so. Because I was going to say earlier when you said trying to remember numbers, I'm pretty sure you've done 50 as a milestone a couple of times. I don't know if you've ever broken the 3 digits.
Maybe 75? I want to say it's between 50 and 75. Like I said, it can't be more than 75 because I don't think I've ever gone that ham.
Yeah, even automated, you set limits for how many apples you want to spend.
Yeah.
Whereas some people will. To put this in context, I believe this person was asking on our Discord about this as well. There are some people who play lotto events as that is the technically 2 because it's usually twice a year, but those are the one time of the year where they throw everything at FGO. They will use all their apples. Sometimes they'll even use Saint Quartz to refresh. They will go as far as they possibly can to get all the stuff, and then spend 2 weeks tapping open 10. Luckily, they've added the open 100 feature, which makes that goes a little bit faster. So those people get real high numbers because they are throwing all of their possible resources at it. Lucky and I are usually a little more mid. Since getting into Automata, Lucky's better at it than I am, but it's definitely it depends on your ratio of firing your resources and stuff in there. So general advice is my personal minimum is always 20. Sometimes I feel like going past that. Sometimes I don't. And I understand it can be hard to get you to scooch up.
Yeah.
Just remember, no matter how many boxes you think you've opened, there's always one madman who's opened way more than you.
It's so true, and it's fucking terrifying.
I opened 100 lotto boxes. I'm the greatest lotto ever. And then there's one guy who's I have opened 1,000 lotto boxes. And I'm I don't even know what 4 digits. It's truly unlimited, though. Also, I hope you guys aren't fighting in Patreon chat. Don't make me put you in baby jail.
What are they fighting about? I'm staring at Leap of Faith, so I can't actually look.
We're arguing about our quality of how many boxes we've opened and whether or not we've spent rainbow apples on it.
See, and this is another reason why I don't like talking about it. People get fucking defensive about their fucking about their fucking numbers.
Yeah, like I said, this is the beauty for me anyway of being quote unquote bad at lottos and acknowledging that. I'm like, yeah, I don't really care that much anymore. 100, 1,000, not the same to me. I don't go that high. I should probably try harder, but damn it hard. I don't actually know how the person who gets to 1,000 lotto boxes does it. There's probably some setup involved. Anyway, we're not here to talk about lotto boxes. Though we will probably be getting our Eurofest rerun after Lostbelt 6 all the way, I think. So you still got a few weeks, but that'll probably be our mid-July event. Anyway, more questions from Moolbag.
Yeah, I need to get a safe spot. Yeah. Okay, so this lesson comes from using myself as a catalyst to summon Oberon. They say this in parentheticals. I've played both Francis Bottom and Lysander in productions of A Midsummer's Night Dream. That's pretty cool. Lucky's never been in a play before. Acting is never something I've been good at. Unless it's acting the fool. I'm very good at that. But they say, what's the strangest object / ritual you've used as a catalyst to try and summon a servant without having to burn your soul's fire? EX setting up all your saber faces on support to summon Castoria. I'm gonna be real. I don't think I've actually done anything strange.
Yeah, I don't think I've done anything super weird. I think the weirdest thing I can say I've done is when I was attempting to go in for a Lancer Artoria altar summon with some tickets and some SQ, I did go outside while it was thundering very loudly on the horizon, and it worked. So, but that's about the weirdest thing. I've gone outside when inclement weather was threatening.
I will probably draw some sort of magic circle and like use my Tiamat cards when the time comes, but
actually that's true. I think technically I did have some of my my old Yu-Gi-Oh cards, like some of the Blue Eyes stuff, out when not for Melusine but for Sigurd. If you want to get Melusine, I should probably. Well, no, I already have my oversized card print of Stardust Dragon. If that doesn't work, that's not how we're catalysting.
I've done like some things, like once I made a shrine to shoot him, buying several bottles of sake and offered those up. I made a shrine for Tamamo, but I don't exactly remember what I did. It was very long ago.
I'm trying to think what you would have had at that point. Definitely would have had a mat. Probably had some plastic standees and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you would have had your figurines though yet.
I don't remember.
Time keeps on slipping.
Yes, I prayed super hard and I broke the fucking killing stone.
Ballin'. But at what cost?
Tamamo's not in it anyway. People don't know their damn history. Anyway, let's keep moving on. This next one comes from Send Help. I'm stuck on Mr. Nasu's A Wild Ride. Aren't we all? Aren't we all? Can we get off? Do we want to get off? No one knows. But they say, howdy, Looking to Mega. Hope you're enjoying LB6 still and hopefully staying cool. My question relates to having done Mothman Interlude during the last Interlude campaign, which involved Sion actually race shifting with us because it seems she was prepared to take down the Emperor if he tried anything funny. So that being said, the question I have is, do you think we'll ever get Sion as a full servant in her own right? Because I assume it was her Black Barrel replica that she was going to use if Mothman act up. Or do you think the only way we'll get to see her as a servant if she is a pseudo-servant?
I suspect the answer to that question will probably lurk in this current ordeal call somewhere.
Probably. P.S. Another part of the interludes I did had a scene with Tomoe Gozen, Jinako, and Osakabe Hime all chatting in Bad A's room, clearly mid-land party, to help out Old Man Lee with his training of the Master. And it was very fun and adorable, and I want to see more scenes of our gamer girls hanging out in the future.
Oh, I'm sure you will.
I do believe... Yeah, no, if I remember correctly, I do believe... Who was it? Was it Parvati? Was it Parvati? It was post... I think it was Parvati's interlude where she's going around talking to the Endosurfers. I do believe, the Gamer Girl trio is involved in that one. Because Ganesha is hanging out with them. And Parvati is all like, this is my child. And Ganesha's like, no!
Yeah, they get some references.
Oh,
Somebody in chat asked him, like, I do not believe Sion could fire the Black Barrel. Joke's on you. I'm pretty sure that's part of her moveset in Melty Blood. Keep in mind that her Black Barrel is just a pistol, not the giant railgun thing that MASH has. But still. It's like cough. Weird.
I don't think they're going to let him... I'm going to be real. I don't know in particularly what form it's going to be, but FGO is not going to let Sion get away without making her a servant at some point.
I'm gonna be honest. This is one of those things where, like, sometimes, there's setup and payoff and stuff that's a little weird. Sometimes we've said before that sometimes things feel too obvious, but, like, Seon's real weird and cagey about stuff. Like, not in, like, a sinister way, but, like, we literally started this Lostbelt with, we count up how many people are count as in Novum Chaldea, and Seon excludes herself, even though she is alive, ? So, like, I assume she has to be either playable in some form or, like, something else will happen with her because we have made it too obvious to mention it without explaining it what her deal is. She's just kind of from Atlas and kind of does stuff but doesn't count herself as stuff. So it's like, okay, all right, something's going on with you and we'll come back to it later. She managed to fucking whip up a servant and do Phantom Spirit Fusion, even though I'm pretty sure that was stated to supposed to be impossible outside of Shinjuku. Watch, we're gonna get Shinjuku Part 2. Sion was there the whole time. So yeah, like, I assume that she's either gonna be, like, promoted to playable or something is gonna go on with her. I don't fucking know. We'll see. We'll see if she's the anniversary servant, too. Somebody fucking calling the shot in chat. I'm still gonna hang out in the Abiyo Seimei Club just because why the fuck not?
But with that, oh, excuse me. But with that, let us move oneth. This next one comes from Cahulian God. Besides the need to prioritize the destruction of the Lostbelts, ever since reforming Chaldea, was there anything from preventing us from sending an expedition team to your original Chaldea facility? Logistics, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to drive there, drive to Antarctica.
We have to drive to Antarctica. And do what?
Also, isn't it... So, yes, the servant Anastasia is no more, but I'm pretty sure she froze it, like, solid full of ice, and Antarctica will not necessarily defrost. So, yeah. And also, to be honest, I don't know what there is left there. She broke all her important shit.
I mean, I guess what's left of Shiba's there, but I don't know. Other than that,
I'm pretty sure we've replaced... Everything was either destroyed or we were able to replace it or take it with us. So, yeah. All we're gonna find there is a lot of corpses.
And bad memories. Hey, remember this spot? This is where Da Vinci got stabbed. Yeah, I don't want to go back. So, let's move on. This one comes from the master who wants his MP4 Dragon VTOL GF to introduce him to her stepsis from Xenosaga. Listen, let us just take a moment to appreciate Cosmos and all her glory. I fucking love Cosmos. Cosmos was my first robot waifu. That's why even though the fucking Xenosaga games are so fucking weird, I adore them.
I played a little bit of them, but as you said, they're weird, so I kind of didn't get into them as a kid. Kind of went over my head a little. Yeah. Do I still have those discs somewhere? I need to look at my old PS2 collection. Anyway, this person says stuff.
They say, hello, fellow Castoria walkers. I hope the summer's been less deadly for you than mine has been in Texas. Jesus. I'm gonna be real, I would not want to be in Texas right now. It's hot enough. Actually, what is the heat right now? Temperature man, tell me the temperature! Only 79. That's not bad. Still, that means it's probably way worse in other places.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I mean, I'm almost 9:30 at night and it's still 82 degrees here. So that feels a little closer than I'd like.
Mm-hmm. But they go on to say, so far, LB6 has been the realm of messy/petty bitches of all genders, a la the young and the restless or Downtown Abbey, and I love that shit. The fights are fun and impactful, but the casual snark and pomp literally feeds me energy like a spirit bomb. Side note, I like that all NPCs acknowledge Barga's Melu supremacy. That all said, I was wondering if you have similar feelings towards the story stylings as I do so far. Have a great weekend. So, usually I am not necessarily down to clown with too much drama. Like, I try to avoid drama like the plague. And so usually I'm not a big fan of that in media either. God, there's a lot of people here. Fuck. Sorry, playing Sice is right. But LB6 is, I think it's written less as, like a fucking daytime drama as it is a, God, I almost want to say it's a fucking war story. It's like a historical battle story. Like, we'll get into it, but we are literally trying to build a fucking army to take on another army. It's really weird.
Well, in this case, I think there's definitely something to be said for, because this is, like, oops, all Nasu, right?
Yeah.
This retains Nasu's original sense of humor as well. Keep in mind, this is the guy who wrote, Fate Stay Night, Tsukihime, etc. there are some gags, there are some jokes in there, you know.
Mhm.
Some of our characters are, you know, very classically very feisty and snarky, so Nasu is kind of writing with that voice for a lot of characters. So yeah, no, there's a lot of just general, you know, cattiness and feistery as well, which I do enjoy. There is some of the more highbrow like socio-political drama, but usually when we run into it, it's either like very clearly explained, like we have a decently sized cast of characters who can be like, ah yes, Lord blah blah blah. Most of the thing it's bringing here, honestly, but like we have these moments of like, ah yes, that's what that guy's doing. He's doing this and that because of that, you know? Like when there are great mysteries about Fairy Britain, it's usually either because we forgot to ask somebody about something and they just took it for granted, or nobody fucking knows, you know? So it doesn't feel like you said, like, it's not melodramatic, right? It's not drama for the sake of drama. Everything kind of has a reason, and it's just that we've got our clashing ideals. Castoria's got her own clashing things. Obviously, Morgan has her own plans, and all the other clan heads have their own plans. And all of these just kind of, like, coexist, you know? It feels very natural while being supernatural. It's funny how that works. I'm just imagining Lucky is playing minigames very hard right now, but I can't actually...
I am playing minigames really hard.
Yeah, I'm like... Normally I could hear you somebody clacking keys a little bit, but like...
Oh, wait, nope. Safety here? Oh, God. Sorry, I'm not doing the thing what I normally do. Like, sometimes I will, like, fucking hell. Sometimes I, like, ham up my responses for camera and stuff, so, you know,
You're just focusing really hard right now.
I'm focusing really hard right now. Let's see here. I'm gonna go for here. This is the part come on, give me... I always lose at this one. Why? I swear to God, when it comes to me and rules of 3, I'm always on the lose. I'm always on the losing team. For those not knowing, Final Fantasy XIV is doing their Make It Rain campaign right now, which means their minigame center, the Gold Saucer, is having an extra 50% bonus right now. So a lot of people are here. I was just doing the Slices Right, which is a minigame you can do there. And every time I play this minigame, I have never completed it once because I always get taken out at the exact same location every single freaking time. It is a part where the area gets divided in 3, and if you are on the wrong one, which is, you know, only a 1 in 3 chance, you get booted immediately. And every time I have played this game, and I mean this, every time I've played this game and reached this point, I have gotten taken out by that 1 in 3 chance. I find it a almost statistical improbability.
What the fuck is this Mario Party ass bullshit?
I don't know. But it's over, and I can refocus on the mailbag. So sorry about that, everybody.
But all right, I think we answered that for the most part.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what I was saying there. I was just trying to say words, but the Megas probably articulated it way better than I could. So, this next one comes from Dave, who says, a little off topic, but I know you guys are a fan of Jim Butcher. His son runs a book too called Dead Man's Hands. It's pretty good, about halfway through it. By the way, we did know about this.
Yeah. I am actually planning on picking it up probably sometime next month, because when it came out last year, I was like, this seems cool, but I've got a backlog of books, and then my power was out for like 4 hours, and I have almost no backlog of books, so I'm like, maybe I should pick up some new books to put in the backlog.
Time for books.
And there is another Daidoji Shin coming out soon.
But we keep on keeping on. This next one comes from the Master with No Story 5-Star Archers. Hello, Omega and Lucky. I hope you're having a good time traveling with Arturia, Castor, and Fairy Britain, and good luck in Anniversary 6.
Is this a pun? Is this a wordplay?
I'm not sure.
Well, we'll get back into it later.
But thank you.
I will bring this back up when we get to that point to illustrate how that could be a wordplay if people don't get that one. Anyway, yes, good luck to you as well.
Moving on, this next one comes from Monster Girl Aficionada, who says, Dear Lucky and Megan, no question this week, just sending good vibes. Wah, 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 wah. And wishing you well. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you. Same to you, my dude. Moving on, this next one comes from Soul of the Light Mode Discordo. As requested by Lucky last week, quotations, what is the relationship between soccer faces and Hindu goddesses? So, this is Lucky's basically half-baked crackpot theory here, which has been only fueled by fucking, Monster Energy drinks and, waifuism. But there's a lot of Sakura phases in the Hindu pantheon right now, because first off, we have Parvati and now Kali and Durga, all big Sakura faces right now. But then you have to start considering about other things, like for example the Sakura 5, because as per Nasu, we now understand that Khosrow Drop looks like Murian, and we know, so that means that Murian was originally a Sakura face. And now we have Durga, who is one of the components of Passion Lip, and now we have to ask, and now we have to go, wait, which one is Durga, was originally a Sakura face? And
Well,
that would
I can actually say the servant Durga Kali is coded as a pseudo, so it is supposed to be a compatible vessel type thing.
Oh yeah, but it's the same with
That's
Parvati.
Weird.
It's kind of, but so in Hindu mythology, there's a lot of rules of threes going on here, but because like you said, you have Parvati and her three aspects being, Parvati, Kali, and Durga. And then Parvati is part of another trio. I cannot remember their name, but they're supposed to represent, great virtue. But they're made up of Parvati, I can't fucking
Saraswati, Lakshmi, and Parvati. It's they're called the Tridevi.
Yes, the Tridevi. Now, if you don't all recall, Saraswati is one of the components of Melt. And some people will go, but isn't, Lakshmi's supposed to be a John face? You got to remember, no, Lakshmi is actually channeling Ad Lakshmi, which is Lakshmi Bai's elder sister.
Yeah, the goddess of misfortune.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know why, but it seems like crammed in in the Trideva, there's just a lot of Sakura faces, and you can't necessarily be sure that they're Sakura faces because of the pseudo. Or they're Sakura faces because they originally look like that, and I think that's really weird.
I mean,
very
honestly, I think I would assume that Fate is probably leaning towards more than just they're similar, because allow me to do some armchair narrative theory here. I think one of the major themes of Sakura as a character in Fate Stay Night is the fact that she is a character with kind of like wildly different aspects, right?
Oh yeah, she does have like the three aspects. She has like the three aspects.
Obviously, there are classical writing themes of like, Mother Maiden Crone and shit like that. Like, triplicate characters are not uncommon, but Sakura herself is kind of interesting because she does have these kind of, different appearances and different roles. Like, she can be, hello senpai Sakura. She is shown to have more of a forceful or a, more self-confident self. And then she's also got, hey, aren't you tired of being nice? Haven't you ever wanted to go apeshit? AKA Dark Sakura. And that, funnily enough, kind of fits into the triplicate form of Parvati, who is also Durga and Kali kind of a thing. Which is why I'm pretty sure FGO Materials have been setting up this concept for, like, forever, right?
I'm honestly wondering if Nasu designed Sakura with like Parvati in mind, though. Like like how much he likes doing this kind of shit. Like he might not have said Sakura is actually just Parvati reborn or something, but he probably saw like the tri-aspect formation of Parvati and be all like, I can use this.
It's definitely like I said, there's a lot of intriplicate forms. Funny fact, everybody, by the way, not literally, but this is actually how even before we got to the Lostbelt, this is how Proper Human History Morgan is described. I think it's in Garden of Avalon, but it might have been in a flashback in Case Files that Sir Kay like explicitly says, yeah, Morgan was kind of odd. She was like, three people at once. Sometimes she was, a kind older sister. Sometimes she was, like a proud, warrior queen. And other times she was like a wicked fairy, So, like, this is not necessarily something that Nasu is alien to, for sure. This kind of triplicate effects. But there are definitely some weird oddball stuff in Fate Stay Night that have gone so long. I'm pretty sure the comparison between Rin and Ishtar, for instance, has to do with like basically like Nasu's super tropes and like what he thought of Ishtar as a character in relation to Gilgamesh as written in Fate Stay Night. You know,
True.
Like,
Now that I think about it.
I think that comparison was probably not intended, because I don't think that like Rin was written to be a mirror of Ishtar like out the gate. But it's the kind of thing where there's probably a line in Fate Stay Night where Gilgamesh remarks of Rin and is like, "Huh, you're kind of like, earnest, but also a fuck up. You remind me of somebody," kind of a thing somewhere, right?
Mhm.
And then that kind of like expanded out to later comparisons. I could totally see him doing the same thing with Sakura and Sakura faces. I definitely feel like this weird syncretism was definitely intentional by the time we got to CCC, right? Like,
Well, yeah.
I think there's a reason why there are so many Hindu goddesses baked into Sakura 5s. Not just because there are a fuck ton of deities in Hinduism, with like different iterations and faces and triangles and stuff, but like it's just I bet Nasu was deliberately working off some of these concepts, and I think even some more of them. Like, yeah, Violet is supposed to have Apsara, which is I believe it's a type of spirit. Yeah, a class of beings, kind of like possibly translated as fairies. By the way, funnily enough, it's canonical. One of Violet's other components is actual Melusine, not just the one who says she's Melusine, and then literally her first profile line is, "Yeah, she's not actually Melusine either, but it's important." So yeah, there's some funny stuff there. It's probably because the Foxtail manga is still ongoing, but Khazra Drop is the only Sakura 5 alter ego we don't actually explicitly know, like the other two like check marks. KP is kind of weird in that she's supposed to be like all Earth Mother goddesses, but they have explicitly called out that she has access to the authority of Airavata, from Airavata King Size. She explicitly has some symbolism with Tiamat because of other things, and funnily enough, with the conceptual name Titania, but not the fairy Titania, like the name Titania for the daughter of a Titan. So like, Greek Earth goddesses. Also, by the way, this means that all three parts of Passion Lip are playable now, because Passion Lip was Parvati, Durga, and Brynhildr. We're not that high level on Melt. Melt's three components are Leviathan, Saraswati, and Artemis. Which by the way, I am pretty sure, I don't remember explicitly, but I'm pretty sure Melt has run into Artemis Orion a couple of times and been like, "Oh my god, I cannot believe we are related. Please get away from me." Violet is Medusa, Apsara, and Melusine, and the only thing we know about Khazra Drop is Murian. I do wonder if we'll see any more, other bits in there anytime soon.
Apparently, if I'm understanding this correctly, Passion's stalking habits might come from Durga. And I find that slightly entertaining.
Well, I mean, also you gotta count. Though, then again, funnily enough, Bryn's characterization in FGO has kind of wobbled back and forth.
Yeah.
It really depends on what event we're in. Like, sometimes she actually seems quite, serious and earnest and dour. But if it's a gag event like a summer or like the 7 fake heroic spirits, then we turn that up to a real comedic extreme. But yeah, Durga explicitly being possibly, being literally designed to flip with Kali. And again, that's an Ascension thing. At Ascension 3, she is Kali, not Durga. Even gets a new... NP does the same thing, get a new title for it. Though I also can say, this is another fun fact, it's been a while since we talked about Passion Lip, but she deserves it. That is what Passion Lip's giant hands are supposed to represent. Each finger is supposed to be one of Durga's deadly weapons.
Yep.
So there's a lot of fun there. But yeah, we might actually see some continued, growth on this. Obviously, we have a couple of Sakura 5s that are still unreleased, even though I'm fairly certain both of them have been in the game's code for about 8 years. This is where somebody in chat goes like, "Wait a minute, isn't the game only 8 years old?" Yes. Listen, it took us a long fucking time to get to Mother Draco, okay? There's still some shit we're working on, man. So we'll see. But yeah, no, there's some definite elements we could spice up a little. I would not be surprised if we didn't somehow get yet another Sakura face for like Saraswati or something.
Yeah.
By the way, yes, you can apparently write that with either a V or a W, so I know Melt's NP is Saraswati Melt Out, but I also see it written as like Saraswati somewhere. Well, also, I assume that has to do the Artemis stuff is, the fact that she names some of her attacks like, Virgin Laser Palladian. But there you go, Chad. I hope you enjoyed that bit. And shout out to the, as much as I hate to say, shout out to Light Mode Discord, but shout out to Soul of the Light Mode Discord for being a pal and actually pulling the trigger from last week.
Yeah.
Because you did call it on stream for somebody to write in about it.
Mhm.
It also breaks time.
It does.
I guess we could argue that, we know, you know this because Summer Melt people, but Melts gets her greediness and her envy from Leviathan, because Leviathan is sometimes considered the demon lord of envy. But I guess you can argue we got more playability out of Leviathan, because that's what Lambdarillis is she's like, what if I was oops all Leviathan all the time? But we do still have a couple more mailbags.
We do. So, let's see here. So, this next one comes from the Tyrant King, who is now hooked into Shadowverse because he pulled a high rarity card in 2 boxes. Nice.
I don't know what the pull rate is, so.
Me neither. Question, hey guys, with Summer Morgan more or less 50-50 this year, do you think she'll be accompanied by all of her Tamlin or just a couple of them? Anyway, that's it for me, sending good vibes, wah 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 wah, your way, and hope you have a great weekend. P.S. Does this also mean that we get Sakura Faces Lakshmi and Saraswati? I'm honestly not sure about Lakshmi Bai. I'm gonna be real.
I mean, yeah, because we already have, obviously she has more name, but the character of Lakshmi Bai, who, because she exists and was named after the goddess, that might get weird and confusing.
Yeah. So, but I am definitely willing to bet that Saraswati is a Sakura face.
I'm sure they could make that work. Be all watery, all wet.
I feel like she'd be like a more she'd kind of be like in the melt of more tall and lithe.
Yeah. Definitely needs like an actual, sitar, other stringed instrument, because that's one of the other things is, music and dance.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so people asking about the Tamlins. I mean, while I would not be adverse to a 4-star level down for a Summer Melusine, those are both. But I don't actually. I mean, I can look at the summers, but what I'm saying, Chad, is I don't actually think that there has been that overwhelming level of people all from the same story at once in a summer. Check me on this. So I don't presume that they would hit all of them at once. I mean, if you wanted the most logical sense, it would make sense, I guess, for Tamlin Tristan to also have a summer at the same time. That said, I'm pretty sure that if you put her on a beach, she would catch fire.
Well, clearly this is why you need Summer Barghest. Join me, brothers, and before you know it to be true.
I mean, I would like Summer Barghest. I'm also I'm trying to imagine what I know about Barghest, and she would have to start with a sport type one-piece swimsuit first, right? I'm just trying to imagine telling her to put on a bikini, and it's just it does not follow. What is the tactical purpose of this garment? It's not. It just looks really good.
Listen. I'm pretty sure if you ask, Barghest will put on a fucking bikini for you.
Well, being a little too lovey-dovey is one of her quirks. Too physically affectionate. But yeah, like I said, I don't. Usually, like I said, they like to mix stuff up, so I don't actually expect we'll probably hit them all at once. But maybe one or two. And like I said, I think Tristan would probably make the most sense as the accompanier.
Probably, but I do think a lot of people are probably. Honestly, it might be time for a Summer Coin Skya.
Is the world ready?
I don't know.
That said, there's. Unless we're gonna do, we've already done regular Summer Tomo. Unless we're gonna do Summer Cat, which I'm sure would be fucking hilarious. Cat would find some way to be absolutely goofus about it. But, and unless, I mean, because Lady Avalon exists, we cannot count out that Summers will release entirely brand new servants. We've opened Pandora's box, so we should watch the fuck out. But, barring completely brand new characters being released, Summer Coin Sky would be your best way to get more, Summer Chiwa Saito and Summer Tomo faces. And she certainly already has enough gosh darned outfits to cram some more into those Ascensions, right?
Yeah, out of all the outfits we have seen, she doesn't have a summer one, so
And it would certainly fit the trend of we do still reiterate some of these big support characters in summers, There's a summer Scotty, there's a summer outfit for Merlin,
So strange thought, what if it's Summer Morgan and Summon Castoria?
That I could see. I was actually thinking that earlier, but wasn't sure I wanted to put that.
I'll bring it up. I know I say Castoria because she's Castor, but she is a very specific character.
Yes. Lostbelt 6 Artoria, Fairy Artoria is
Artoria. That's a good way to put it.
A specific character who is very different from all other Artorias, and yes, hypothetically, it's been more than enough years. And I don't know, she's been at Chaldean long enough they could have inserted some jokes. I'm still waiting for them to pull that fucking trigger from that one pigeon tweet like 4 years ago now. And where is Summer Semiramis? It's such the obvious setup. But that said, I also understand that FGO takes forever to do this. Playable Rasputin was this year, and FGO Materials 1 with Iris Veal bitching about Rasputin was, the year 1. It takes a while, okay? But yeah, no, that could be the interesting parallel. I mean, if it is actually people are oh, is it, Forest Fairy Summer? Maybe. We'll see. I would also, by the way, not be shocked if Oberon does not get a summer skin at some point, yes.
I think we're gonna get an Oberon skin this year.
It would make sense. He is very popular. It's been enough time, and I mean, fucking Doman got a skin. My boy Kentoki can't go out in summer, but Doman does.
Yeah, give me that. Give me a summer Kentoki skin too. Just give.
It's just the same outfit as regular Kentoki. He just took his shirt off and has floaty wings on.
He has floaty wings and his shorts just say golden on them.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's plenty of stuff. I mean, obviously, I'm still holding out hope for any kind of Medusa acknowledgement.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we're getting the Medusa acknowledgement, just when and where.
Well, yeah, no. I mean, technically it's happened in story, but no playable banner has yet emerged, so we will see. I am also genuinely I feel like at some point they are gonna just do straight up alternate class Summer Astolfo. I feel like they will do this to us. I have that fear every year of the gates that will open.
The world is not ready for Summer Astolfo. I'm just saying that right now. Yes, that's because you're a gremlin, Robyn.
I mean, they could do a Summer Medea Lily. That could be funny because they would do, you'd probably get Jason in there. If not just giving him a costume, we could get a Summer Jason costume. Motherfucking Blackbeard got a costume, okay? We can do anything. Not that Blackbeard doesn't deserve to be summarized because he is already a major headliner of a summer. But yeah, there's definitely some interesting skadoodle in there. We'll probably start. We can get our speculating later. Though usually the timing is we get our reveal at the FGO anniversary event, right? When is the FGO Fest actually? What does anybody remember? What time in July it is? Because I believe they've already announced what days they've got blocked out for the actual little mini convention they've got going on. Hell, it's not even that mini anymore. Weekend of the 29th. So yeah, we'll probably get a summer banner reveal then. So you got about a month to wait on some hard and fast stuff. We can take some more guesstimates as we go on.
Usually they show off a costume and one servant, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you'll get usually the SSR costume and then the SSR servant, and sometimes they show their MP.
If I remember from when they did this servant, I believe they showed off Da Vinci and Achilles' costume, if I remember correctly.
It's also true. Da Vinci was the welfare.
Yeah, so.
Though I also think for they showed all 3 sometimes they do. It really depends on what they got ready. Last year they showed all 3 costumes, but I think that they showed at some point there was an announcement of Lady Avalon's NP, but they did not. We didn't know that it was necessarily summer yet. We were just what?
It was. They did show it. I just remember Achilles because he looked like a fucking Pokemon trainer.
But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. Actually, it's a good question. I wonder if we'll get our if they'll do the same for us. They'll show us a little bit of the preview for summer because I don't actually know when our summer event's gonna be. We already did the rerun, so anyway, I think there's still 2 mailbags left. Or is there 1?
Righto.
No, there's 2. Okay, I can count.
So this next one comes from Agent 418 who says, "Hello, Lucky and Mega. Have a great weekend, all. You too, my dude. You too." I missed. And so, oof. Oh, sorry. So, the last one that we have for this week comes from Mordred Lancer Artoria or Berserker Coup. Foxtrot. I don't get it.
I don't know what the Foxtrot's about.
Ooh. Give me 1 second. I am trying to do Leap of Faith here, and I do not want to look away. I missed!
He looked away.
Question. Have you ever had a team ready for a mission quest and then realize you have a way to use a team better? Example, my QP farming setup, I had Summer Mordred with MLB Magical Girl of Sapphire level 100 and Caster Artoria and Tamamai, which sometimes 3 turns clear. But for some odd reason, I decided to change Mordred Rider to Rider Da Vinci, and it's 100% 3-turn rate on the highest QP always. So now I just look at my ceiling and I ask, why did I not use this sooner? This happened this past Monday, and yes, she was already max skill the day of her anniversary banner happened in North America.
I mean, the reason why you didn't change it was probably complacency, because you're describing what, I mean, not exactly, because I didn't have the Tamo until not that long ago, like last year, whenever they did that ticket. But my original QP farming team was, Summer Mordred as well, which I had to do a lot of skill balancing and praying. But Ryder Da Vinci, different sound. Ryder Da Vinci just regenerates NP better, because that's just a thing her NP does, is give everybody NP back. So yeah, no, I mean, I don't think I've ever had this like stare at ceiling type moment with my event setups, but I definitely like evolve my daily farming teams as time goes on. Like my Ember farming team changed over the years as I gradually bond tended both Lancelot and Fran and Arash. So like I've definitely put it through some rotations. My current setup is now arts focused because NP2 Summer Musashi. And if I get some of the Buster support, maybe I'll switch that up to, Morgan setup.
That reminds me, I need to 10-10-10 my Merlin. He's still at 6-6-6.
Shit, what's my Merlin at? I remember from Merlin's skills, it wasn't as important because his NP battery is, like, always 20%.
But I like numbers. I like it when numbers go up.
But yeah, like, there's definitely some different Wombo combos you can do. So, yeah, I've adjusted my daily farming patterns over time.
Yeah, hopefully with the anniversary coming up, hopefully, I'm assuming we're going to have half AP dailies.
We should. I believe we'll get half AP dailies, probably some double or triple suck. A lot of stuffs there. One thing I've never changed is if I have to do daily mats farming. That's just, what class am I picking? Bully them. Oh, wait, hold on, come back. Sorry, I tabbed over to Twitter for a second. Oh, it's gone now. Weird. I tabbed over to Twitter for a second, and I saw briefly trending the phrase X-Men RPG, but it is gone now. I will think about that later. But all right.
Oh, wait, nope, I got it. Hang on, I'm clicking on it.
Oh, he found it. Oh, I do see it.
It's trending because it doesn't exist, apparently.
Well, maybe someday. We do have that Insomniac Wolverine game coming out sometime.
All right, anyway. But that is it for the mailbag.
All right.
Yay. Pachi.
We've been going for about an hour 20, so seems like a good time to take a breaker and a stepper. Everybody go stretch. Back in with more free talk. I'll go ahead and resume it. We'll renew it. Okay, but all right. That means we're through with mailbag. So we're going to do free talk. And that means we're going to start primarily with new servant deets. Because only one new servant on the banner 3 so far. In before banner. Gee, have we technically done a fourth summon banner before? I don't actually know. Chat, I'm sure, will fact check me. Anyway, now we can talk about Durga Kali, a new SSR archer. Once again, remember, that's Durga for Ascensions 1 and 2, Kali for the later one. She is a new SSR archer. And assuming I'm doing my math correctly, she is taking the crown for attack. That is the highest attack out of archers. I believe she has just a little bit more than Super Orion. And still has fairly median HP. Not the highest, but not the lowest. Somewhere in the middle. We've got QQAAB with slightly higher hit counts, and so low NP gain. You're looking at 4 hits on quick and arts cards and 5-hit buster, and only 0.3 NP gain. But her NP is pretty simple. It's an AoE arts, it has lots of hits, it's an 8-hit NP. It gives her 50% extra damage versus Heaven attribute enemies for the first... it does that first for 1 turn. A lot of 1s in there. After it resolves, it reduces every enemy's defense by 20% for 3 turns, and it has a bonus damage multiplier versus demonic enemies based on overcharge. So you're looking at double trait damage. A favorite. So your first skill is going to be a 30-50% battery on self and gives the whole team 1 level of overcharge for 1 time for 3 turns. Meaning that demonic damage is even damagier. Second skill, pretty crazy. And you'll say that because I say it's pretty crazy, but then we're going to get to the third skill. But the second skill, you've got a 3 hits, 3 turns invul. So, 3-3 invul. 10-20% on self, all 3 card types for 3 turns. So 20% up on Arts, Buster, and Quick, all separate buffs. And all of this on, when you've maxed it out, only a 6-turn cooldown. That's right, you have a 3-3 invul every 6 turns. And a 20% card type up for 3 turns. So, that's pretty good. Also, it's very funny, yes, Durga has a projection. She is an archer. She does have projection. Get your jokes out now. But
listen, I'm gonna be very upset if Shiva comes up and it is not a Shiro face. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't. Technically, I think Shiva's authority is already writing side saddle with Arjuna, but Arjuna Alter specifically. But that's just because that was the only bit that was left. Because he had to be summonable. Arjuna Alter had to ditch all of the other 999 ones. But yeah, final skill for Durga, or technically for Kali, because it's only that high level one. This is where we get a little brazy. So first of all, you've got 20-30% NP damage for 3 turns. Seems pretty normal. You get 1 turn of Pierce Invul. Okay, pretty cool. Also, it turns all of her cards into arts cards for 1 turn. Yes. We finally brought that back around. And now it is not just Artoria who can fix all of her card types for forever. So, we've already got Space Ishar's can switch her NP type. Artoria can now, make all of her cards Buster, and now we've got a Soccer who can make all of her cards Arts.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So, yeah. This is pretty cool. And also means that the fact that her normal NP gain is only 0.3 doesn't really matter, because you are probably going to slam this, because it's a 1 turn of Pierce. You're probably going to slam this on her NP turn, which means you are, if you got the cards for it, basically going to guarantee an NPAA turn, and you're going to do a lot of damage. You're going to do a lot of damage here. Passives are Magic Resistance A, Writing A, which, by the way, she has 2 quick cards with 4 hits and still Writing A, so those are going to be spicy. You've got Independent Action C. You've got Goddess Essence B, so this means that she's got like 42% debuff resist total, because MR, Magic Resistance A, and Goddess Essence B. Also, this is a damage plus, which, considering she's already got the highest attack out of archers, also pretty spicy. And she has a unique passive for her arms, the many arms of Durga, which gives her a 10% arts and crit up all the time. So yeah, no, we've got a new Arts Loop Archer, busting out all your favorite tricks. You've got great damage potential with the Overcharge buff and 50% damage buff proccing first. You've got a Pierce in here, you've got card effectiveness, you've got NP damage up. The only thing she doesn't have on herself is an attack up, but hey, you know what? Guess what? There's this thing called Castoria, that's what she does. She only has passive, crit ups, but again, Lady Avalon exists, there you go, got all the stuff. She's got hard defenses, but God forbid you need to, actually recover or use those more frequently. Tamo's got, healing and cooldowns and shit. It's pretty baller. So, man, why is Archer so absolutely stacked, y'all?
I don't know.
I know we joke because it is explicitly stated in Fate Stay Night that Saber's supposed to be the strongest class. Nasu, like me, really likes swords. But in gameplay terms, Archer is absolutely fucking ballin'. Regular Gilgamesh is just so good, so solid. Super Orion is a monster, an animal man. For just outright wave clearing, original Ishtar was fucking great. We got the new Minamoto last year, who has a Pierce Invul on his NP, so just good at clearing that up. It is a loaded class and very solid. But yeah, so got some good shit here. Also, yes, they actually let her. They let Kali let her be blue. Many people can have their references for where the fuck my blue comma. Maybe when we get the rerun of the banners, the banner reruns. Chad, I'd like you to know that I resisted making a poison for Cusco joke there. I thought about it. It wasn't a good joke. I need to workshop it some more. But that means that's our new servant Deets for now. Though obviously, as by next week we should have a brand new event drop, because they're going to do a stream. So we'll probably have some more of this. Going to keep them rolling. That means it's time to talk about Lostbelt 6 Act 2. Once again, our notes only go up to physically include the phrase Section 14, but do not have Section 14. So
Probably should have went up to 14, now that I think about it.
probably I would have had time to do that if we figured it out, but we didn't cross-plan. Stuff was going on.
Sorry, I'm for some odd reason, I got in my head that part 2 ended at Section 20, so I was all like, oh yeah, going up to Section 13 will be enough. That's the halfway point. Lucky was wrong.
No, we're still about 10 sections short. Also, probably not
Yeah.
counting fragments, which are... Sometimes fragments are labeled as Section X, sometimes they are not. The game doesn't always make up its mind. But for now, this is where we're at, and we're already, an hour and a half into the show, so we'll just keep going. There's a little intro for the Lostbelt. Actually, I need to duplicate my tab so I can watch where Lucky is in Lucky's notes and also keep track of my own notes.
I gotta get to my proper side. Lucky side, there it is. Now there's 2 Omegas, and he is a anonymous chimpank and an anonymous cheetah. How diametrically opposed.
Wild.
Alrighty then. So, put your spoiler warning here. We're about to go in. So we begin with the intro. We start off in the storm border with one of the Nemo Marines letting everyone know that Tefone, Da Vinci's messenger pigeon, has returned. After reading it over, Holmes turns the report over to Goldie, who gives us a bit of extra Gordel flavor. Koyanskaya and yet another new outfit gave me a small fit.
Yeah, I love that detail. But yeah, we get Da Vinci's travel slides with Director Goff. It's a recurring theme. Also, Gordolf also is suspicious of the nickname Habenyan. It's like, who is this? What is a happy cat? What does this mean?
Gordolf being the straight man is something I never knew I needed in life, but I'm glad it's here.
He plays a good comedic straight man, Like, he doesn't make the jokes, he allows the jokes to be made. He's a good egg, especially after we probably broke some eggs trying to figure out what the fuck Canis was trying to bake that one time. The baking that was so horrendous, it felt like we were fighting Zeus all over again. What the fuck is with this bread? Anyway,
but from there, they talk about what plans are going forward and get a lesson about Morgan from proper human history. Apparently, she has many sides to her, and Holmes says that they are all probably true. Mega Inch mentioned this earlier.
Yeah, I wrote here, my notes of this is, Sherlock and Gordolf basically give you the cliff notes of my wanted script. Because some of it was speculation on my part, but some of it was, based on her summonable profile. But yeah, they basically go into a recap of, like, Sherlock basically does the smart thing and dissects the entire Arthuriana and is like, yeah, so, Morgan is weird. Now, we've got all these notes and stuff. Normally, one of these would have to be true, but what if actually all three were true? And this is something I said Nas has been building up to. Yeah. And also, Gordolf just drops you some secret knowledge in this, where he's just like, yes, I went into the archives of our experts, and we have revealed that indeed Morgan and Artoria were full sisters, which is something I guesstimated might be true, because it is said in Morgan's profile that according to Panhuman history, they were accorded as sisters equally. Morgan was acknowledged as, an heir to Uther Pendragon, but did not explicitly specify the blood relation. But technically speaking, one of the characters that makes up the character we think of as Morgan in FGO, because funnily enough, if you take the meta context, Morgan is kind of squooshed of multiple character archetypes, which again leads to the funny triplicate. But the earliest reference to King Arthur having a sister, whose name is Anna, when it's written down at all, is his older full-blood sister. So yeah, I kind of figured Nasa would have done his research. The man wrote 6 piles of printer paper. But hey, chat, you can compare and contrast. Go watch my one on Morgan and see, what's right, what's not.
But following that, Miniere is shaken about so many Britain-related events and wonders what they'll do if Albion shows up, which prompts another explanation, as they are the last pure dragon on this side of the world, extinct and supposedly under Clock Tower. Excuse me. A notion that Gordolf scoffs at and calls romantic.
Which is funny, because I'm pretty sure, I'm thinking in, I think it's mentioned in case files or something. It's definitely indicated that there is actually an actual factual, dragon skeleton in the Clock Tower's basement. I don't remember that being presented as a rumor previously, but Gordolf is like, rumors and hearsay. Nonsense. Listen, I was in the policies department. I would know if we had a dragon skeleton in our basement, okay? You can trust me. I'm Gordolf.
Gordolf, I do trust you, but I'm pretty sure other people don't trust you.
Yeah.
So, a bit more discussion, and we find out that we have been in the Lostbelt for 28 days so far, and despite Da Vinci sending supplies back, they do not want to linger any longer than they need to.
And the further we get into this Lostbelt, why the fuck would we?
I just want to go home.
Get me the fuck out of here. I gotta go. I left the oven in Novum Chaldea on.
Can't trust Sion to turn it off.
Well, it's a hyperbolic time chamber thing. She's not gonna realize it's still on. It's only been 2 hours for her.
Oh god, that's true.
Because this Lostbelt likes fucking with your sense of time.
So the conversation wraps up with discussing if that the talks with Morgan go well, they won't have to worry about everything and can focus on the collapse. But since they have sided with the Child of Prophecy, if talks don't go well, they have to muster a significant army to combat Morgan, and the battle will be settled in less than a day. Holmes thinks this will take about 16 days, barely within our time limit.
Yeah, time keeps on slipping. Also, I've just put a note here that when we finish this up and we zoom out to the map, I'm like, no, why did you use the second map immediately?
I think it stays in that.
Yeah, it stays in this timbre, I think, the whole way.
Until we get to the third map theme! But from here, we go on to Section 10, Camelot.
Ah, Camelot. It's only a PNG.
In Norwich, the fairies are singing about the prophecy, at which point Da Vinci points out that at no point does the prophecy mention Norad being destroyed. Oberon quickly clarifies that it's because they are singing the 14 verse, not the full 18 verse one. Bringing that up was apparently something he forgot. He fills us in on the remaining verses, and they all sound ominous, which is why he was reluctant to bring them up.
I do actually like the writing here that the extra verses, which he calls, the 0.5 verses, are kind of like weird and ominous and complex, and I could totally see them like realistically being dropped from the record, right? Like they're kind of odd. Also, because they're singing this, I wonder if this was more lyrical like in the original Japanese, because I like reading this in text, I'm like, I do not know what the tune for this song is, right? It's just kind of like words, words, words. It's a little creepy at least, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great, it's a slant rhyme.
Between all the allies we made, though, Oberon is going to stay behind in Norwich while we head to Camelot. Apparently, he plans to slap around Spriggan a bit and hurt him in his wallet.
Fuck Spriggan. All my homies hate Spriggan.
Yeah, no one likes Spriggan. But we have +1. Hobbitrot decides to join the party and claims the healer role.
So, we have Summoner, Thaumaturge, Artoria definitely has a jobstone yet, Machinist, Samurai, and a Lancer. And now Hobbitrot joins us as our Scholar, but also our Weaver. She's the kind of person who, like, you ask to help out on mechanics, and then suddenly, they go from crafting to, like, level 90, and you're like, whoa.
Oh yeah, it's the person that's always a weaver, like in the pre-setup. As soon as like it's time to go, they just go.
Yeah, and you're like, whoa. We definitely still need to work on our team comp, especially because we lost our tank to mechanics. Also, I spent way too long thinking about this joke. Please send help. In case you don't get it, that's us for Summoner because we summon servants. Saying Artoria is Thaumaturge because like I said, I joked you don't have a jobstone yet. Da Vinci is Machinist. God, my brain is not working all of a sudden. Muramasa is Samurai, and Gareth is Lancer, because also, once again, she definitely doesn't have a jobstone either. Mash was obviously our paladin, but, she was yeeted into time and space.
Yes, complete her active time maneuver. So, Tamlin Gwaine arrives with escort, apologizing for being late. She is all business, despite being slightly bamboozled by Muramasa's appearance, as, he kind of, blew past her on an assassination attempt on Morgan.
Also was thrown into the pit by Tamlin Lancelot, so she's like, what?
Oh?
I love Muramasa's response here. He's like, yeah, it's me. What about it?
Ornery Grandpa is so peak.
Ugh. We offer no explanation or exclusives. He is simply Grandpa.
She presses on, though, getting everyone in carriages, giving us an itinerary and everything. Very professional. 100% would tip. On the road, Artoria seems wowed that we seem to be not phased by anything, but we let her in on our secret. We are actually constantly panicking and just really good at hiding it.
That's my secret, Captain. I'm always freaking out.
It's true. During the ride, we start to talk about Tamlin Gwaine and how she was the first Tamlin of the Queen era. She was awarded this for her efforts in dealing with the calamity now known as the Caterpillar War. Artoria almost let slip something starting with Ba. Nonetheless, it is time for a random fight with Tamlin Gwaine on your side. I do think it was mentioned before that for some odd reason, Morgan can't stand caterpillars for some reason. I think it was when we were talking about Bogger. Apparently, the Caterpillar War was like the only time they have seen Morgan scream.
Yeah, she's
like, wow.
She's freaked out by bugs, and I assume that's why she needed help, because she would not just take to the field and blow them all up.
Mm-hmm. Also, I do find it a bit odd that we're getting a find that lets us test out Tamlin Gwaine after their banner is over.
Yeah, I assume
like
this goes to the theory that it was not intended for there to be this many splits in the Lostbelt.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is kind of weird now that when you wrote that note, I read it and I was like, oh yeah, that is kind of weird. And the JP would be way more. Well, yeah, it's confirmed it was not meant for this part, but like where some of the splits were supposed to be. But what I was gonna say was that yeah, it's definitely kind of weird, but in JP it was even longer, right? It was like a month between these two parts, so her banner was hella over.
And so it's a bit weird. Unfortunately, during the trip there are too many Moors and Tamlin Gwaine can't get a hold of the situation. But Tamlin and Lancelot arrives in a nick of time, much to Tamlin Gwaine's consternation. It seems that Tamlin Gwaine is best at taking out a large group, while Tamlin Lancelot is best for individuals. Another fight this time with a chance to use Tamlin Lancelot before her banner ends.
Do some work there.
Mm-hmm. Tamlin Lancelot apparently fights like a jetter fight. Excuse me? I'm gonna use that name for a character somewhere. Jetter fight. That sounds like a fucking fighting game character. Like from the 90s. Jetter fight. Tamlin Lancelot apparently fights like a fighter jet in fairy form. And if by what her My Room's line suggests, it might be something she wants to be. She likes it. She likes weapons and attaching them to her form. It's a little funny. So, hecking Tamlin Lancelot DLC for Ace Combat. Let's go.
I'm sure there's a mod out there for that. But yeah, this
If
just...
nothing else, just to put fucking Tamlin art on your jet.
Oh, that for sure. I mean, yes, that's absolutely correct, if I understand how the Ace Combat fandom goes. Yeah, this led me to putting down, I'd really love to see a full-length production with Tamlin Lancelot animated. They keep talking about how she moves like a fighter jet and stuff, so her fighting style seems really like unique and fast-paced. Obviously, you can play as her, so you can access to her animations, but it is not quite the same, I think, because, it's FGO combat is limited to a 2D plane, we don't really get her full shebang, but considering how Ufotable was able to animate, fighter jet Lancelot versus Gil, there's definitely some work there I'd love to see.
Oh, sorry, it was a bit gaseous. Whew. So, but after the battle, Tamlin Lancelot leaves almost as quickly as arrived, and in game, I will use every chance I get to refer to her as some sort of jet. Afterward, Tamlin Gwaine chides the escort and thanks us, along with apologizing for not knowing her name. She likes that we remain hostile to her even now, as we will always be enemies later, even go as far as to mention that we should mind what we say in the carriage, as she might be able to overhear. But with the attack, the travel plans are borked, so we'll have to camp out for the night. Never fear, though, the Count Pepperon has given us cakes! Time to talk about desserts.
Yes, Count Pepperon packed us a hamper full of cakes. How incredibly English. Based. And he knows exactly what everybody would want.
Mm-hmm. I like to imagine Pepe in an apron doing the Pepe face. You know the one.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if it's ever been explicitly explained, but I personally assume that Pepe has an Ojo laugh as well.
I can see it.
I totally see him doing the hide behind hand and the
That seems very Pepe. Also, Arturia, please stop thinking well of proper human history as a whole. There will only be disappointment later.
I mean, our snack food game is better than yours, yes, but there's a lot of other stuff involved.
Yes. Also, at this point, if you haven't caught on to Knocknera is the anti-cheese joke should make it crystal clear.
Yeah. What's that? Knocknera hates dairy? I wonder who it could be.
I just realized there's a spelling error here, and it's so really, really weird.
Oh, yeah, there it is. I didn't catch that. It's because you wrote an actual English word.
Ah.
Technically, the grammar should maybe have figured out that was wrong, but it is capital. Basically, guys, Google does some interesting things sometimes. Usually it's pretty smart, but if you give it a proper noun, it'll eventually be like, yeah, I guess.
Oh, guys,
I wrote this down as just Queen's position.
Yesterday I was writing notes because I got to Gawaine's true name reveal, which I'm pretty sure everyone knows by now is Barghest. So I said it's Barghest, and Google wanted to be like, don't you mean it's the biggest? I'm like, you're not wrong, but
no, that is not what I meant to write, Google. Nice try, though.
Nice try. We decide that we need to make a peace offer and take some sweets over to Tamlin Gwaine. She refuses, but understands we came to talk. She assumes that we want to know about Tamlin Lancelot and says as much. So when we say that we want to talk about her, she pauses and then assumes again that we are trying to figure out her weaknesses. She doesn't hate it though. God, I love Tamlin Gwaine so much. I love her so much.
Yeah,
why are you so good?
Even when she's being a pain in my ass, she's still like a likable character.
Mm-hmm. Gwaine talks about her origins and how even though she is Fang Clan, she looks human. Approximately 1800 years into Morgan's reign, she put down the Calamity, and Morgan unsealed the name of the Tanland up until that, which was basically taboo up until that point. The title used to belong to the retainers of, what was it, Ask?
I double-checked this. It should be... Well, so, funnily enough, this should either just be Ash, because it is literally the old English word for Ash, or possibly you put a little bit of the E spin on there and say it like Ish.
Ish. I'm gonna go with Ash.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to say, and also funny. Also, hey, by the way, here's another fun fact for you. The rune letter that is written as Ash and means ash tree, linguistically, it is descended from the Norse Futhark rune Ansuz, which is the rune for a god.
Oh.
Because it refers to the world tree.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure, by the way, because Caster Ku knows his runes, he calls out the Ansuz rune when doing certain things. Anyway, yes.
But the title used to belong to the retainer of Ask, but she cannot remember the first Tamland because they all met their end in Orkney.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, Tamlin Gwaine fangirls a bit over Gwaine original recipe.
He is a very large boy.
Large. Maximum Lorge. We learn a little bit more about other calamities, like the fact that the Moors used to have a king and an army, but they never attacked humans or fairies and just cared for fire and lightning. He was finally defeated by... Oh, I spelled this wrong. For the longest time, I thought it was Wood Rose, not Wood Woes.
Yeah, it's Wood Woes. That's a name for an old man of the forest.
He was finally defeated by Wood Woes of the Fang clan, but laid a curse on him: the fairy-eating black dogs. Tamlin Gwaine is known as the Black Dog Duchess, for she eats everything, fairy and human. She only eats the strong, though, for she can gain their strength. Right now, she has Foulweather, a great Earth Clan fairy, in her belly.
Which explains the skill. Also, by the way, they mentioned that guy who was king of the Moors was called the Storm King, and I think we punched his Goo Ghost earlier, by the way.
Yeah, that was in the Autumn Woods, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
We're spinning some wheels.
Sorry, I just remembered something that happened, and wait. Okay, never mind. I'm over it. I have updated my conspiracy board.
Robyn's like, go on. We'll come back to that. We could say, future spoiler, Wales 2 is in this list of notes. But yes, Foulweather.
Yeah. Gwaine talks about how she is used to talking to humans, though, because her current husband is one, though he is not a romantic partner nor a meal.
This goes back to our earlier discussion about the fairies not really understanding, like, human relationships and procreation. I'm not actually, I genuinely don't actually know why she calls this human her husband. I guess it's just because he's living in her house right now. Because she says that she's not planning on eating him or is not romantically interested in him.
Well, honestly, it could just be asexual attraction.
Possible. I mean, she does say, not romantic interested in him in a romance way, so.
Yeah. He could just be like, she likes likes him being around. The fairies sing, and I think I'm starting to understand why they say forgive our sins, but I think that they don't.
Yeah, this is a later bullet point. I think I wrote it down in Londinium, but this is a thing that starts to come in really strong during this part of the story, and I'm like, man, we're sure talking about sin a whole lot all of a sudden. And the fairies don't necessarily get why.
I think I'm starting to get why, and I'm considering what people are saying, I might probably right, but I really wish I wasn't.
I'm sure we'll get into it because there's a lot of bullshit to go.
So, 2 days after Norwich, 30 days in total, we arrive in Camelot. It's large and majestic, and on the gates is written, only those without sin are allowed to pass, though it seems to be mocking.
Yeah, somebody put some red paint on it. By the way, we both forgot to mention this earlier, but they did explicitly say that they syncretized Morgan with Nimue, the student of Merlin, who probably locked him up in Avalon. With
a barrier with the words, only those free of sin may pass.
Which obviously, because Merlin is, part incubus, he literally cannot. He cannot pass the boundaries, so he is stuck forever.
Yep. Tamlin Gwaine is looking up the horizon, though, anger on her face. With one of Da Vinci's... I'm sorry, what'd you say, Mega?
I said angry face.
Angry face. Was one of Da Vinci's gadgets a fucking spying glass? Yeah, it is a telescope, because I think he says, yeah, this function is 5 kilometers, this one is 10. I'm just like, Jesus!
Yeah, it's a pretty high refraction telescope, but not that any of the fairies understand what the fuck a telescope is, I don't think. They just have, their elf eyes.
But with one of Da Vinci's gadgets, you can see an army on the horizon, the leader glaring at you, in particular from afar. You recognize that bodysuit as Celtic, though, and know that face. It's May! But it's not really. It's the one and only Clan King member, Knocknera.
Yeah, the artist knows what they're doing here, especially with this low-angle shot.
Yeah.
It's just legs. Pan up. I mean, I don't know if he's changed his tune in the past couple of years, but at one point Nasu did say Maeve was his favorite servant, so don't know what you were expecting, chat.
Mm-hmm. So apparently she has her own fair domain, one that shares her power with all her subjects equally, as long as she... Really, me? Really? As long as she is among them. I'm not even going to tell you what I did there, because it's so bamboozling.
That's okay. I didn't catch it either. There were a couple of underlined grammar errors that, I was just like, oh, I know what he meant. I can right-click fix that. I didn't catch that at all either. Proofreading, it's important.
It is important. Apparently, though, she despises human and only wants a fairy Britain ruled by fairies.
Allegedly.
You mentioned that allegedly. Listen, my current oh god, I can't remember what the term is, but when you when you sum up a story in just a few words concisely, do you know what my one for Fairy Britain is right now? Everyone lies.
Yeah, we've talked about thematic through lines, but everyone lies is a really good one. I feel like this is that conversation that Oberon had with us very early about how, because Tristan said that where he comes from, true fairies should be able to see through lies, and Oberon's like, nope, none of them can do that. The only way you're going to be able to tell if anybody is true is at the end of it all. And we're like, yeah, it do be like that.
It do be like that. But upon hearing that she despises humans, you mentioned that this sounds like Maeve, but also doesn't.
That's another thing I think we'll wrap back around to in these notes.
I love the meeting. Tamlin Gwaine talks about how Knocknera is posturing and moves on, telling about the audience. Only you and Artoria will be allowed to go, but since Da Vinci seems quite smart, she sends her along as well as an advisor. The rest will be put in a hotel nearby to rest. Thank you. So I think I'm pretty sure we could have winged it somehow, but the fact that
at the very least we would have had to repeat anything we learned to Da Vinci anyway. So
yeah,
I think Bargus understood our relationship as just like, you're small, smart one. Take that one too. Basically tells us, take your stenographer. You're gonna need it. Get your designated note taker.
So after climbing an hour's worth of stairs, we arrive at the throne room.
Those are some fucking Shinra HQ level stairs, by the way.
The Queen commands that only she, you, Artoria, and Surprise Beryl, the fuckboy, are allowed to speak. We immediately call out that it's impossible for Beryl to summon her. He thinks everything is fine. That seems very suspicious to me.
It just keeps going, yeah. I mean, we were already asking these questions when we were finishing up the Part 1 exposition about, like, hold on a minute. This one just continues to be like, wait a second. Wait a fucking minute. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. Real twisty-turny, timey-wimey here.
So, first thing, good job with the Calamity. Have 100 million QP. No, she doesn't have a mint. She'll just copy the process.
My note on this is just 100 million? Exclamation point, question mark.
I mean, you did a good job, so she's gonna reward you, I guess. Yeah. Listen, I know, like, I people, I'll talk about this a little bit later.
Well, yeah, there's a note. I put a sub bullet point on this, but that's not actually when that note comes up, so we'll circle back in a second, I think. But damn.
Yeah. Secondly, she says that proper human history is her enemy, and the collapse is her expanding Britain, so no, we can't have a divine construct. So there.
Yeah, it's a shame, but it really do come down to this, where we're just like, hey, maybe we can be friends, and she's like, no. We're enemies, and I actually want that thing that you don't want to happen, so no. We're very sorry, but no. Legalize nuclear weapons. Morgan is Shadow Wizard Fairy Gang.
She really is. Third thing, she recognizes officially Artoria as the true child of prophecy, and that only she has the right to bring her to justice and will commit no sin in doing so. But until she rings the first bell, she will not see them as an enemy, and once they have, will bring the might of Britain against them. Some people have seen this differently, but I'm under this weird impression that Morgan is in a strange way of validating Artoria in her role. There was like no posturing, no derision, just like, only you can do it, if you can.
Yeah, a lot of people have a lot of like assumptions or opinions, this comes back even later, about Artoria, right? And like whether or not she really is actually the child of prophecy. Morgan is just straight up like, no, you're definitely the child of prophecy. You're the prophesied one. And I think there are some reasons for why she thinks this that we may get into a little later. But she sees Castoria and is like, yeah, you're the child of prophecy. I definitely declare that because you are the product of the prophecy, you are definitely the only one who has the moral authority to fuck my shit up. And then she doesn't really go like, I double dog dare you, but she's like, but I want you to understand, if you do the thing, then I have to do the thing, and it's on.
You know,
like,
I say...
Go for it.
I know I say that everyone lies, but I'm thinking about it. I don't think Morgan lies.
That is the
Morgan
thing. Robyn said it earlier. I'm pretty sure Morgan is the only one who hasn't said anything that is a lie. She is upfront with everything, but that means that, like, she's a weird outlier.
Yeah, she's this weird outlier. Well, God, that's it. She's the weird outlier.
Yeah. She's like, you're the child of prophecy. You definitely have the moral right to question my authority. Nobody else does. I offer neither, what was it, salvation or forgiveness?
Yeah.
Like, just like, everything she does is straight up. She doesn't lie to anybody, but because... Hey, whoa, Axe, don't you say Robyn Wag or dumb. Don't you dare. Don't you dare disrespect the names of Robyn Wag. I'll fight you. I'll fight you all. I'll fight everybody. I'll fight all of Fairy Britain. Wait. But yeah, no, like, Yeah, Morgan is just very blunt, very direct, and everything she does is, straight to the point. But because none of the other fairies are like that, and also because, funnily enough, the only other, actual human in this Lostbelt, because we've learned that all other humans are, manufactured, Beryl is also just a Weasley little fucker as well. So, like, we're gonna get into it as well. But I especially, despite saying that he is her master in this relationship, I don't think Beryl gets Morgan at all either.
No. And also say, I don't think Morgan lies, but she does not always say what is the truth. She's the type to just be silent.
Yeah, if she doesn't have anything to say, she won't say anything, Yeah.
Also, Robyn Wag did lie because they lied to Mash when they first picked it up because they were intending to sell her.
It's true.
They decided not to, though, because Mash is too precious for this world.
Though I will also put some of that on poor Mash because they at least discussed their plan out loud while she was standing right there, and I think she just didn't notice because Mash. But yeah, like, yes, Morgan probably could have explained like everything to us. I don't even know what everything is, but I understand that there isn't everything. She probably could have explained it to us right then and there, but and I don't necessarily know what she meant by this choice yet, but first she feels the need to offer Artoria a choice, right? And be like, you're the child of prophecy. You can do the thing. You're allowed to do it. But if you do, you gotta understand, I have my own goals and motives here, okay? Like, if you do it, we're like...
It might have something to do with, now that I think about it, they do say that Artoria is Morgan's successor / daughter kind of thing. It might have something to do with that.
Yeah, like, basically she's questioning, like, okay, you can come after me. You gotta prove that you're... Like, she basically says, like, I'm not gonna give it to you for free just because you're the child of prophecy. I understand that you're the child of prophecy, but that doesn't mean that I'm just gonna get out of your way, Like, it's... I feel like the implication is not that she's saying that she's gonna, like, defeat Castoria. I don't actually know how, the prophecy is weird. We've already broken it a little bit, but she definitely implies, I think, like she's giving Castoria the last temptation on the hero's journey kind of thing, right? Like, she's saying, like, you don't understand what this is going to cost you yet. If you go on this road, I am here to basically make you pay that cost. I will wage war against you. You might not like that, so this is your last chance to not do that.
And, like, she extends this, like, almost, immunity to, like, everyone. Like no one can move against you until they become you become enemies.
Yes, because she is publicly saying, you're the child of prophecy, you're not my enemy yet. If anybody fucks with you, I said you weren't my enemy. You're my guest.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, very classic fairy, like, double talk and double think here, Oh, you're an honored guest, kind of a thing. Hospitality rules and shit.
So, let's
yeah,
move on.
The way I wrote this in actually, I should read my own actual notes on this. I got a couple things here. So we actually get to talk with Morgan, who seems kind of normally well-informed, and despite being polite about it, she says, like I said earlier, she insists on fight me, Scrubblords.
Yeah.
But also, like, let me actually double check. Is this something that we can't? No, because we're gonna talk about, you have the specific notes about MASH, but I want to say in general, her attitude during this conversation is she seems to take kind of the cosmic, the macro scale view here. Like, fairies aren't mortal, so if they get obliterated, more just pop up. They are unchanging static beings, and this really seems to be like Morgan's number one bee in her bonnet, that fairies don't really change. So, she doesn't really care if they die like dogs. Like, oh, some fairies died a horrible, ungodly death. Well, we'll get some new ones. Doesn't fucking matter to me, And this probably says a lot about why all of us really don't like Fairy Britain. Because even the people we're trying to help kind of suck.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, this is something I've been grappling with a little bit. Is, like, of just, like, on a scale of, like, 1 to 10, how bad is Morgan's attitude towards Fairy? Because on some level, it is bad. You should not be, just completely inured to, the suffering of others and whatnot. But at the same time, these fairies are assholes.
Morgan is very utilitarian, and I agree with the general ethos of anti-Morgan factions that, like, she does kind of run, like, an industrial totalitarian scale misery machine, right? She literally, like, grows humans in farms and, like, controls every aspect of their life. Now, would humans necessarily be better off with no controls and just pure fairies running their life? Probably not.
Honestly, I
But there's probably a comfortable middle ground in here somewhere.
I don't know.
Well,
I
that's also
really
true.
don't know.
Listen, it's a Lostbelt. We are literally trying to make them just disappear on their own, so I don't know if we'll ever see this. A happy medium did not exist in their previous timeline.
Like if I remember correctly, they've talked about how before Queen Morgan took the throne, they had been fighting continuously for like 10,000 years, just endlessly.
Yeah, there's some big numbers that get thrown out before
so I'm
and
just
after.
like,
so yeah,
fuck.
I don't. This is a thing. People always like ask this question, and like we get like people in our community raising stuff like, "Oh yeah, like why is our human history the proper one?" Well, despite how picturesque this Lostbelt is, it's still a Lostbelt. Some shit went very wrong here. I think honestly, some shit has gone very wrong here multiple times. But we'll again get into that. But overall, the actual like background for this Lostbelt and why it was pruned, I think has to do with the fact that like there's no human history here. There's no human order because the fairies keep beating each other up, and there's no room for humans to flourish. Why that exactly happened, I think we will actually get into later. Not necessarily in these notes, but later. But yeah, like, and so like, yes, Morgan is kind of like, I don't want to say she's unfeeling, but she's kind of like, cold, distant, not an empathetic ruler. She does not listen to the plights of her people, but also some of her people's plights are dumb.
Well, I think I mentioned it before, but I liken her to a machine.
Yeah.
She is a machine. She is a machine whose primary purpose is the safe well-being of Britain. Capital B Britain, the land, the concept, not necessarily the people, because no matter what happens, the people will always be there as long as Britain exists. No matter what.
If Britain exists, fairies will come back, and Morgan already can make more humans, so it's like, yeah, she doesn't... Individual suffering is nothing to her, which, like we said, that is kind of, like, ethically questionable in its own right, but what is the alternative? I don't know. Probably going into the fucking cosmic beyond. Anyway, Morgan does some cool stuff here that we should actually talk about.
Yeah. So, where am I?
Mash.
Yes. So Morgan basically says, anything else? And we go, about MASH.
Yeah, where the fuck's my MASH?
Where the fuck's my MASH? And something seems to occur right then and there. Like, I don't know why, but I think it's this Lostbelt in particular, but I've been really particular of those moments when they cut to a character and they don't say anything and then they move on again. Yes. They do this a lot.
There are very deliberate beats. Sometimes there'll be a facial expression change. Sometimes there won't. Sometimes it's just a beat. But there are beats. And you are right. Morgan takes a beat here. And she's like,
And says that MASH is safe and in her power. That MASH is her trophy. But she is safe and even she cannot harm her right now.
And yeah, we just kind of have to take her at her word. But I also would.
Yeah.
If Morgan says, I have your MASH, but also your MASH is safe, I'm just like, well, I guess, she's just got my MASH in the back of the store, I guess. Is she going to go check the back for me? No.
Well, also, the thing is, she says that even her power can't reach her right now. I'm just like, what the fuck did you do to her?
Well, hey, guess what? We'll find that out. Again, we will circle back to this one, but given certain conversations that we see later, I think it makes sense why even Morgan may be like, yeah, okay.
So now the audience is well turned over, but surprise, Beryl, they want to kill us now. But Morgan wears all the pants here and literally suppresses him to the floor while he screams.
Thumbs up.
Apparently, she won't even allow an insult to our pride while we are her guests. This is just, silence double thumbs up to her and, just, ghost fade out.
Yeah, just do the peace sign to Beryl and disappear. No, actually, no, I would be cocky. I would be like, double finger guns, walk backwards. All right. Da Vinci, quick, make me some sunglasses.
Yeah!
Hey, Da Vinci could technically give him 4-finger guns because she's got robot arms. She just gives him 4-finger guns and Heelys backwards. Whee!
We just say Castor, quick, follow our lead.
Hey, bye.
Confuse the poor girl.
Yeah.
Listen, Artoria, this is what we call styling on clowns.
Yeah, but no. So, I think this is the moment when everyone was like, you know what, Morgan's not so bad. Also, I do appreciate that literally everyone thought of it this way of like, Oh, so Morgan wears the pants in this relationship because Barrel's bragging about being, her master. She is his servant. They are, engaged to be wed, and then Morgan's just like, quiet you.
Wow.
Silent screaming. This I also hope for a Lostbelt 6 anime, so I could just see this be acted.
So we leave after that, and comment, we really didn't learn much, although Da Vinci does mention that she is pretty sure there are at least 10 Rongos nearby her throne. Jesus!
Yeah, but Morgan's the kind of world leader who keeps her nukes in her office just so she can check on them.
That's a lot of power. That's a lot of fucking power.
Yeah, it's also a lot of juice. She got them concealed as backups.
Yep. We quietly think about the logical fallacy about Morgan being Barrel's servant, especially after that display of power.
Yep.
But we regroup with everyone and commence with the Artoria teasing once again. So we need to get out of Dodge before someone conveniently forgets about the Queen's orders, so we're gonna call an Uber. Hey, look, Oberon showed up with Redra Bid and the Carrot, and they both got an upgrade.
In my notes, I just wrote this as Uberon.
But we go back to the map here, and hey, you really are gonna receive 100 million QP here. What the fuck?
Yeah, I read my note. The game even warns you if you're at the QP cap, you will lose it. What the hell? This is so. It's so nuts. Like, this is a crazy storytelling beat of like, no, we're not kidding around. We're literally going to give you. I mean, yes, it is that GIF that just got posted. I'm going to pay you $100 to fuck off. But like, yeah, no, damn. Like, I don't know why, but this is one of the things that like really shook me. I'm like, what? So you're not only are you actually literally giving me this shitload of QP for completing the story note, but also like you're actually warning me it's real. I'm going to lose the QP if I'm at the cap. Holy shit. Like, talk about story and gameplay integration. Jesus.
Oh, I kind of missed this. Oh, wait, no, this was right. So we talk about, the plan is that American is apparently going to use the calamities to destroy the world of man, and only the fairies of Camelot will survive, so we have to fight her and win. On a personal note, I think not even the fairies of Camelot are safe. Morgan has said many times that all fairies will die to serve as the foundation. Morgan only cares about Britain, not the fairies or humans.
And I think this statement gets better explained with context later. Something we'll be talking about later today.
Yeah.
When she says the fairies will serve as the foundation, I'm like, oh, I get it now. I really wish I didn't get it, but I get it.
Yeah. So, we return back to the throne room and have a scene where the Priestess of the Foreign Gone stares at Morgan, and Morgan basically tells her to do something or leave. The priestess leaves, but the Chaldean appears, talking to Morgan, telling her that telling her while he can't agree with what she is doing, he can respect the effort that she's put into it. It's a bit snide, but he says that the Child of Prophecy and Master probably can't stop her, but if a third party was to interfere, who knows what could happen. This pretty much guarantees that a fucking third party is going to interfere.
Oh, I mean, I love this also. Like, guys, I never knew how much I wanted to. Also, by the way, I do want to say this out. I meant this minutes earlier, but the priestess did show up, but she's mute, so she leaves. Like Morgan basically says, like, "Oh, it's you again. Hey, do you have something to say to me? Something you want to do?" And the priestess is just like, silent face. I'm not allowed to do that, and leaves. But yeah, but I never knew how much I wanted just Gatia to show up and just snark it up against our later villains. But it's great. Like, he has some very subtle digs against Morgan. Like, the way I read this conversation is he basically says, couldn't have done it better myself. Though, hey, I lost anyway. Bye! Like, he says, you've done everything perfectly. It's all an elegant plan. There's no way they could stop you now. But what the fuck do I know? They got me. Ha-ha. Like, yeah. Because strictly speaking, that's what happened to him, too. He would have had us if not the actual Solomon was like, hey, yo. So, like, yeah, it's I don't know exactly what he's implying here, but it's a very interesting conversation that I kind of wish we got more of if the Chaldean Gates is just gonna hang around. But also, yeah, this is arguably one of the most, like, not really proactive but direct he's been. Like, I don't think it's been implied that he's showed up directly to speak to any of the other Lostbelt kings. Like, he never even made it to Olympus in Olympus Atlantis. He had to, leave after Atlantis to do the thing with us, bail our asses out. I don't even think he bothered looking at Arjuna Altar. He was just like, yeah, this place sucks. And there were, I'm trying to remember if I think he had a cameo in Lostbelt 3. But like in 1 and 2, he was definitely just going around to random villages helping people.
Mhm.
And I think he did something similar in 3. But yeah, it's. I mean, technically that's what he did in 4, but I'm pretty sure there was actually like a note from somebody about the Chaldean helping them out. But yeah, no, this is great. It's a great scene. All right, before we jump to our next section, we are at almost 2.5 hours.
Okay.
Let's see, yeah, we're probably about halfway through the notes we got, the sections. Let's take another quick break ski.
Breaks.
Pause. I think they got all that stuff. But yes. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention before. I'm actually thinking about this was stepped away. But I'm glad that we do get this little cameo. I don't think I remember anybody like being like, OMG, new Chaldean cameo. But I do like that after our like face-to-face meeting, the Chaldean Gatia is still like in the story, and it does definitely reinforce to me that eventually he will be summonable.
Mhm.
Like whenever we haven't yet hit the end of the arc, so we keep on going. I don't know if he shows up anywhere in 7. I guess I'll find out. No, people at home, this is not an excuse for you to say if he shows up or not in 7. We'll get there. All right, that means it's time for Section 11.
Yeah, Section 11, Londinium. I pronounced that right?
Yes, it is.
Yay!
The Londinium.
So hey, check it out. Wait, check it out. Wait, how she does it? Check it out. How does Station Gun say it again? I don't remember. In the north, they have chocolate fields, like actual chocolate fields. Excuse me, what? We immediately run into someone else's chocolate field and start eating someone else's chocolate.
What are we, hobbits? Rustling chocolate in their fields? Who does that?
Specifically, it knocks Nera's drugged. Excuse me.
You're getting some drug chocolate right now.
I am getting some drug chocolate right now. This is some good shit, I tell you. Drug chocolate, according to Gareth. But, like wily predators, there are some Moors in the field, and they attack. But, oh no, we have this poisonous chocolate debuff doing something?
No, it does nothing. That's the joke.
It does actual nothing. It's kind of hilarious.
Like, I was reading Gareth saying this stuff, and I'm just like, are you sure about that? And then we get to the actual battle, I see the debuff, and I'm like, oh, what does that do? Click it. No effect. I'm like, huh.
Actually, no, it's not drugged. It's just really good. But it really is Nognera's, and she won't appreciate, oh, hey, what's that? It's a bunch of masked men making police siren noises.
Wee woo, wee woo.
But Nognera is here to punish us for stealing her chocolates. She's sending us to 100 years of labor with a retirement in Edinburgh and pension. This is the moment, right? I didn't write this down, but I need to. I do think I felt it. This is the moment right here where I realize, no, Maeve doesn't hate humans. She does not.
Yes, no. This is why we say allegedly, because I'm like, hold on, what was that? But also, hey, look, Nocturia has literal heart clouds with her.
Yeah, I love. Wait, how you pronounce it?
Nocturia.
Nocturia. I've been going Nocnera. Nocturia. Yeah.
This is why in my notes I wrote it as the English. What's all one word.
Ah, Nocturia.
But yes, in the one with the 2 C's and the spaces, still pronounced Nocturia, but that's the Irish Gaelic spelling.
I'm just gonna call her Nock.
That will work.
I really
But
do
yes,
love Nox.
easier.
Nox Sprite. Apparently, she is the successor to Queen. Is it Mab or
Yes, this is Mab.
Mab?
We'll
Okay.
skip ahead in my notes. Mab facts. So Nocturia is descended from the fairy archetype of Mab. The name Mab, by the way, comes from lines in Romeo and Juliet. It shares some pronunciation similarities to Maeve, which is written, Mebbed. But the 2 names are probably not related. So are your 2 choices here based on Shakespearean scholars that I was able to look up. Either Billy Shakes was making some very obscure romantic reference, like reference to some old school, Roman terminology with Mab, or it was a horny reference. Because the phrase Mab might be related to Elizabethan slang for prostitute, and Queen is also Elizabethan slang for prostitute. So Queen Mab could just be double prostitute.
Super horny.
Listen, it's Romeo and Juliet. I'm not going to speak for Shakes, but it could be. Now, mostly later poets and urban fantasy writers, you know who you are, paint her as a queen of the fairies, but I've talked about this before. There are enough actual, literally unnamed queens of the fairies that you could say one of those was Mab. While she's called Queen Mab, she's not necessarily supposed to be queen of the fairies, not in the way that Titania is. It's more that the little speech in Romeo and Juliet describes her as like the nursemaid of your dreams, kind of like the inventor of your dreamland. But yeah, no, a lot of people really like Shakespeare, so they cribbed the name Mab. I'm not going to say for sure if this is why Jim Butcher wrote it this way, but Mab and Titania as the two opposite fairy queens in the Dresden Files is probably a Shakespeare reference.
Actually, I do find that interesting now, considering Titania and Mab are kind of both fictional, but
Yeah.
for some odd reason, we really like. I guess it's because we have a name to put to fairy queens. I guess.
Yeah,
now.
like I said, a lot of previous archetypes would have just called her the Queen of Fairy or the Fairy Queen. This was apparently a earlier medieval trope. I talked about this in the Morgan Wanted. The character that is now known as Morgause was originally just called in like medieval poems and romances the Queen of Orkney. She was not given a name. And then the current theory is that like she was basically personified as like, I think the writing was like Orknerea, and then they were like Morknerea, Morkia, and then it was like Morgause, got it. So like, yeah, it makes sense that, especially because Shakespeare is kind of one of the like seminal modern-ish English works. I'm trying to remember, is Shakespeare Middle English or early modern English? I think it might be Middle English, but it's still close enough that you can actually read it. It's not like the Canterbury Tales, where if you read that in the original, you're just kind of like, what? Huh? How did you spell that word? It's way more vowels than I remember that. But yeah, so no. There is definitely writer precedent for slotting in the name Mab into being a powerful fairy queen because, as I said, there's a lot of fairy queens who go unnamed. So that's the actual new screenshot. But yeah, so we learn that about her, and then we have time for a flashback. Back.
Apparently, Arturia and Nock had met 5 years ago at a princess pageant. Apparently, the village of Tintagel,
Tintagel, yes.
Tintagel, had made Arturia go. And while she really didn't want to participate in the pageant, she did want to see outside the village. Apparently, Nock was there using it for political reason and to get her name out there, but really, she just wanted to be back helping the harvest. They're both just country girls at heart.
Yep. Also, by the way, Arturia channeling her inner London in this flashback. I'll fight you, I swear on me mum. On me fairy godmum.
Nock is upset with the princess pageants and the judge's standard of beauty, and upon seeing Arturia moping, sees her immediately as a rival and wants to do the contest all over again. But what Arturia was wearing is not good enough, so this includes tearing off her clothing so she can give some of her own clothing so they can compete fairly. Arturia doth protests.
Yeah.
After a scuffle, it has been cleared up, they become fast friends. So, Nock is clearly a jerk with a heart of gold. She still thinks of herself as Queen Bee and isn't afraid to lord it over people, but she also seems like genuinely wanting to take care of people.
Yeah, the way I wrote it is I like instantly got the impression that Nocturia is kind of like what a young Maeve would be like not like the jokes about, Maeve Lily, but like actually when Maeve was younger and less experienced, because Nocturia has a lot of raw talent and charisma, obviously, but she's also got this kind of like air of innocence about her, despite the fact that being a fairy, she's probably been around for shitloads of years at this exact age. But like, she doesn't have our, summonable Maeve's like built-in maximum haughtiness. Like, she does not assume that she is owed everything all the time. She's just kind of like, well, I'm the queen, that's where I am. That said, I still kind of feel like her archetype is that she's a princess, not a queen, right?
Yeah, I can get that.
Like, she's still got that air of youngness and innocence, and a little bit of entitled. She knows that she needs more authority, but she's also not quite yet maximizing that embodiment yet.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I really wish I understood where this note was from. I wrote in my notes, what was that last adjective? It's in one of Nocturia's speeches, but I can't remember it right now. I'll have to double check the dialogue box later. She does some kind of list somewhere, and I'm just like, what was that? Double think.
So, back to the present, we can see that even when they are arguing and scuffling, it's real easy to see that they are friends even now. And when you take it out of context, it's hard for someone to believe that someone so meek can trade blows with the ruler of the North, the head of the King clan. Like, it's really funny to think about, because I'm pretty sure they're, button heads and trading insults and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. One is, the quote-unquote alleged child of prophecy, because, some people are still skeptical. The other one is the fucking head of an army that, is eyeing the South and, has Morgan being like,
yeah,
a little
she
bit.
Is a clan head who has been spoken up since we got here as, like, the legitimate force that resists Morgan's influence. Like, literally it's mentioned earlier that, oh yeah, no, the North straight up doesn't listen to Morgan anymore. They are in not violent rebellion, but open rebellion. And Morgan just hasn't dealt with them yet, because they haven't, given her a fully reason. But yeah, it's an interesting kind of friendship, but I think, like we said, when you learn from that flashback, you can see, like, why they would still match up as friends. And listen, we know all about being weird friends with weird people, okay? I have goddesses on my speed dial.
Ugh. Sorry, 1 second there. Okay. So they stop their squabbling eventually as Nog notices us and pulls Artoria in for some girl talk. But Artoria is confused, so Nog decides to fight her army against Artoria's attendants, and if we win, we go free, but if she wins, she gets us. Purely for tactical reasons. No other reasons.
Delicious human.
I didn't write this down, but I did have this immediate thought again of, once again, suck at Barry. Oh, Barry. His name is now Barry. Fuck him.
Got him.
It was like, suck at Barry. All the fairy ladies want me. So we fight, and who those fairy generals were aside, we won. Nock laments she missed her chance this time, but whatever. She is busy with military exercise and doesn't have time to deal with low-class fairies. Oberon takes this as she doesn't think we are a threat, but Nock says it's the opposite. It is because that she views Artoria and Morgan as threats to her rule that she wants them out there keeping each other in check while she builds her strength. She talks about being the successor to Mab and how she wants to make a Britain for fairies by fairies. Don't worry though, if she feels like it, she'll make a special autonomy zone for humans. This pretty much means that she is probably planning to make a special autonomy zone for humans, regardless.
Yeah, she thought of it already, so.
Again, I don't think Nock despises humans as much as she or other thinks.
Yeah. Again, it's the allegedly quality of everything. When somebody explains what Nocnaria's deal is to us, they're explaining it either from the perspective of Oberon is talking about resistance to the Queen, and with stuff we learn later about, like, who he actually supports, it makes sense. And, the official other clan heads and stuff talk about her because, Nocnaria is the one who's, like, out there already doing it, right? She's in active, rebellious efforts, doing military exercises. I forgot the phrase for this. It's not rattling her saber. There it is.
Oh, there it is. Fuck.
Yeah, I was like something saber related, rattling her sabers. Like she's doing saber rattling exercises and showing off and stuff. Whereas I don't think any of the other clan heads, even if they don't like Morgan, have the stones to pull that one off, right?
Right.
So, like, all the rest of them talk about her like, oh, she's, so full of herself and so strong and whatever. And other fairies, like, I think the Sheffield team were like, oh, well, if we go to the north, we'll be enslaved by the King clan. I mean, yes, technically, but, like, that's not the worst outcome, it seems.
No.
You will be pressed into her service, but her service seems pretty nice. You may have to run around and make wee-woo noises, though. I know, that's a terrible fate, but you'll just have to live with it to get your pension.
Where did she even get the concept of a pension?
I don't know. Don't know. Maybe a human thought it up.
Maybe.
So yeah, no, it's just it's a funny little interaction we have where this, but yeah, it's I do agree with her and think about the conversations we have about this where she's like, no, it's because I respect Artoria and think she's the real deal that I'm actually gonna like let her go about her business. I don't gain anything by punching out the Child of Prophecy while she's not doing anything,
Mm-hmm.
Which is also true. Hell, would probably make her more enemies. Gesundheit, by the way.
Yep. Sorry, I've been fighting. I was fighting that off for a while. I failed.
Yeah, it happens.
Ugh. So we get a chance to ask her anything else, and me being base, the master that I am, I asked what's up with the hearts floating about her.
Of course.
She doesn't know what she doesn't know what hearts are, but says that they are a manifestation of her magical energy that's leaking out because she is too strong and she cannot contain her hopes and her dreams, her passions. I didn't ask the other one because I felt like it was fairly obvious she don't want to know humans fighting in her army. But also, I think she might because she doesn't want humans to get hurt in this. I'm not sure.
I mean, I'm pretty sure in replays we can just go back and ask alternate dialogue. So if you're really curious, you can check. But I mean, yeah, it's the hearts one.
Yeah, hearts.
Listen, this is how I get by my disarming charm. People think I'm going to ask them about obvious things, and I'm like, no. Hey, why are you surrounded by floating hearts all the time? And she's just like, what? Huh?
So before we can go, she is interrupted by a northern fairy that mentions a few things about Moore's disease, Sheffield refuge, not enough transcription subjects. After that, she tells us to leave and says to Arturia to have some dignity. I think this is Nock telling her to be proud and walk tall, but in Maeve fashion. Ah, yeah, this is where I put it.
Yeah.
I'm starting to think that everyone in this Lostbelt lied. To others, to themselves, to us. It seems to be almost like a foundation of the story.
Yeah, I picked that up when Oberon said his way of saying it later. But yeah, the telling line is definitely, you know, that line about knowing who's good or bad won't come until the very end. So like we really won't be able to figure out who all of our allies and enemies were until we're at the end of this. Oberon has already lied to us about a few things through omission, whether intentional or accidental. We'll keep going into more as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, we need to head for the actually you have the lead up to all of that.
Yep. So we return to southern Britain, and we need to discuss where we're going. Most cities are straight out because we don't want to draw attention to ourselves, but Oberon's Autumn Woods are lousy for a secret base. Da Vinci suggests the Storm Border and swings by Tintagel, but Oberon wants to use that as a last resort because we aren't running for our lives. Instead, he suggests we don't go to a fairy city, but instead head towards southeast of Oxford, towards the ruins of Londinium, where the humans have set up base.
Yeah,
it is the base of...
This was, I said, and now we make for the titular city.
It's the base of the Round Table Army, and seeing that Arturia is the child of prophecy and dealt with the calamity at Norwich, seems like a perfect chance to meet them. So we have a day, night, day switch, and are almost there, only a couple hills from the city. We stop to have a quick lunch and talk about the place. Apparently, it used to be a place where the Five Clans lived peacefully and even had a human lord. Unfortunately, it was destroyed through an insurrection that left the place in ruins as Morgan had instead rebuilt Camelot. No one knows why, though. Except Habatrot, it seems. Apparently, it was the Five Clans that did it in. After Ash had stopped the warring and a human knight was about to be appointed king, there was a riot by anti-fairy humans, and it led to deaths. The clan heads were clearly upset about this, so they put every human in the Round Table Army to death. The Human King fell in battle, Ash was executed, Grimbear was able to escape, and the Black Knight, who was unable to be killed, had his ears crushed and was tossed into the sea.
So he's invincible. The Black Knight, he's invincible.
Mm-hmm. 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 The Tamlin were just done at that point and took the coffin and left. And for some odd reason, people can't remember the Tamlin's name.
Because names are important.
Habicat apparently knows more about Londinium than many others, but not a lot about other Sizzy, and she doesn't seem to care much either. Like, she mentions how Aurora isn't her type. This clearly means that Aurora should not be on our friends list.
Yeah, so I have a couple notes about this. I noted here, first of all, Habanyan knows things. Very knowledgeable. But also, like, I immediately caught that when she said, oh, Aurora isn't my type. And I'm like, oh, that can't be good. Because the way I put this in my mind is Habitat was willing to work with Boggart. Despite the fact that Boggart was kind of a dickhead, he wasn't as bad as he seemed, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, he still was willing and did do very bad, no good things. But he, you know, had a decent head on his shoulder for some stuff. The fact that Habitat doesn't want to work with Aurora either means that Aurora is a shittier person than Boggart, or she's just such a non-factor we don't need to pay her any mind. You know, you don't put her on our friends list analogy. Like, either she is such a, like, non-entity that Habitat literally doesn't notice her, or, like I said, she somehow would be less willing to work with her than Boggart, and I'm just like, I don't like that you said that. That's not good.
I'm no lies, Aurora's too nice. In this land, she's too fucking nice. I don't like it.
I mean, it seems like every fairy has an ulterior motive. Like, even when Murian was being nice to us, she was still, like, very clearly doing it for her own reasons, right?
Right.
So, yeah.
This bothers Gareth. For some odd reason, she has to go off before she says something, apparently. She reveals that she can see the futures of Arturia and us clearly, but not Habanyan. Excuse me. This is when a Morse shows up, and Gareth tries to defeat it, but she can't and realizes that Arturia has been helping her this entire time. But who comes to her aid but a refreshing young man with lance and armor with encouragement and advice? And together they can take this enemy. His name is Percival, by the way. Oh my god, good boy levels are rising with his lad. I am so sorry I was upset that I rolled so many copies of you. I love you.
In my notes, I put in here, in brackets, by the way, vaguely make praise the sun pose in the general direction of Percy. just vaguely do body shapes in his direction. Such a good boy.
He is such a good boy. See, this is the thing that I talk about a lot with my roles and stuff. It's like how usually I can be just so mid on a character until I see them in story. I'm like, oh no, you're amazing. I love you, Percy. This happened with Percy. Oh, excuse me. So, with the powers of being good people, they are victorious. Percival is wondering if Gareth wishes to join the Round Table Army, but seems to be going back and forth on it. But then Gareth just straight up tells him that the Child of Prophecy is on their way to Londinium, and Percy has a shock face. Back at camp, Artoria is worried about Gareth and is about to go after her, but she reappears with Percival in tow. There are a round of introductions, with Red Rabbit, oh, I did that wrong, whatever, being the most excited. And Percival says that we are more than welcome to take refuge in Londinium. He says that he and the army will keep themselves while we plan our next move. Oh, I didn't actually fully explain this, but if you ask Red Rabbit why he's so excited, he talks about how Percy is like the ultimate knight because he rides a horse in the combat. At which Percy then comments that yes, he wouldn't be able to get anywhere without his partner Kundry. And I had to look this up, but a quick Google search shows that Kundry was a character in Wagner's Parzival, which was inspired by Parzival by Wolfram. Apparently, Kundry is a mountain witch woman who has multiple shapes and stuff. It's a little weird. She's supposed to be she has this whole deal about being joined to the Holy Grail. Actually, Omega, do you know?
Not off the top of my head. No, I'm not familiar with the Parzival cycle as much.
No,
because it's gentleman.
Yeah. So, Kundry is actually a character from Wagner's play who is she's kind of weird. She has this duality of being an obstacle, but also being the messenger of the Grail. That's a little weird, but apparently it's in Wagner's story she is important. So apparently in here though that means she's a fairy horse.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, it's Parsifal is a. Oh, okay. I was about to say they call it a music drama. Actually, that is apparently the German word Musikdrama. it means a unity of prose and music. So it's a musical. But not like in the pop culture way, but in like the Wagner way. But it's not an opera, but it is a musical, which is based on, as Lucky mentioned, the chivalric romance Parzival, which is from Wolfram von Eisenbach, which is a Middle German, work. Also, this is another fun fact for those of you who checked out my Fairy Knight Lancelot, my Tamlin Lancelot one. Also involves works from the French chivalric romance Perceval. And I think it's the Castle of the Grail or the Case of the Grail. Oui, le Comte de Graal. By Cheratienne de Troyes, who is also responsible for Sir Lancelot Do Not Steal. Wrote the seminal work of introducing Sir Lancelot the Knight of the Cart. So yeah, that's kind of interesting to see those kind of together.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, we're going to London.
Oh, sorry. That made me just think about something about
Think about some stuff later. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you said, "Oh," I was like, my brain instantly fired that neuron. I'm like, shit, I get it. Damn, Christ, Nasu, how much reading did you do? I can't say shit. Listen, I do so much work on my wanteds, and that's for like a 30-minute video that I make in like a week. It's literally 9 stacks of printer paper. I joke about the number from like between 6 and 10. It was literally 9. A lot of prep work went into this.
Yeah, like I said, I got it and immediately heard me get it. It was like, then he got it.
Yeah, I was like, what would make Lucky gasp that? Shit.
Okay.
I mean, the text of Lancelot Knight of the Cart is public domain, so you could read all of that. But yeah. I don't actually know directly if the trivia about Kundry or the fact that Cheratienne wrote about both Lancelot and Percival will actually be that important for later. But if you want to look it up, go for it.
No, I think it's just an interesting side note.
Yes,
that Naso used to fuel his writing.
Yeah, this is very clear with the way Nasu writes specifically. I know obviously the FGO and Type Moon have a research team because we've discussed before. For instance, they're the one who dug up the weird Minamoto no Raiko Ushi Ushi goes in combo. So, they have teams working on this stuff, and I don't know how much, Nasu divests the research to them, but Nasu's particular writing style is absolutely, one of those research assistants hands him, an index card that, says some stuff on there, and he's like, oh, I can run with this. I can turn this into a weird thing. And that's just so much of Fate is just built on Nasu is like, oh, yeah, I can turn this into into a thing.
Alrighty.
Retweet some Durga art and move on.
I've been actually trying to avoid retweeting too many things. My Twitter is very bare right now. So, upon entering Londinium, something seems apparent. That this seems to be a place that people live in, for lack of a better term. Like, they, in the text, they go on to explain it a little bit better than I think I can, but, like, it seems that Londinium is a place of people trying to actually live a life rather than just pretend to be living a life like most other fairies do. You know,
Yeah,
they actually have...
Fairies in other cities, like, they have a purpose, obviously, so they have something they want to do, but the way they go about those things is usually they, like, do that weird specific play acting we've talked about, you know, Mike and his hotel bar, which he didn't even understand how a tavern worked. What's that? You can rent the rooms? Whereas in Londinium, it would absolutely be like, oh, we have a place to stay? Fucking let's, quick, we need beds for people. People need sleep. That's a thing we need to live, you know? We gotta get by. With a little help from our friends.
So,
it's a place
apparently...
where men can live and die by their own choice.
I mean, I guess it has that 16 brain.
Yeah. I mean, Londinium's just the hideaway. Prove me wrong. You can't. Wait, that means Percy is Sid. Fuck yeah, let's go.
Apparently Percival had seen what was happening to Gareth from the wall and had leapt from there. Something... Sliders?
Such a good boy.
Something which the soldiers are a bit exasperated by. But the soldier notices the group, and Percival points to Oberon, who, almost unsurprisingly, is well known and loved among the people here. Apparently... Wait, did I not? I didn't.
No, there's a later point.
Oh, it's later. It's later. That's right. Okay.
We don't get that slip up yet. There's a lot of stuff that goes on first.
Okay. So when last Oberon left, though, he mentioned that he would be bringing the Child of Prophecy with him next time, so Artoria is brought quickly into the limelight and the festival breaks out. Unlike before, however, this aren't the fairies pinning their hopes on the Child of Prophecy to save them while doing nothing about it themselves. These are people working to build a better future for themselves, and while they believe in the Child of Prophecy, they are not forcing their expectations on her. Despite that, Artoria teasing never gets old. Percival states that the Round Table Army goal, while it does want to change things for humans for the better, it wants to build a better future for Britain and everyone in it. They are not fairies or humans, just people who share a dream for the future, which in my opinion is kind of the proper way to actually do a revolution.
Yep.
During this though, Percival calls Oberon Lord, and it comes to light that Oberon was the one that set up the Round Table Army in the first place. Percival only considers himself as acting commander of it, with Oberon actually being in charge. Apparently, Oberon lifted the curse on Londinium, found like-minded people, and funded the operation, even though it put himself in debt to do so.
Yeah, this is where my note I put on this is, Oberon is spinning more plates than ever, it seems. How does he do it all?
I don't know.
I don't actually remember when Oberon said
I think they say, I'm pretty sure Murian said he showed up 2 months ago, which I find really weird. I feel like this is a lot of work he's done for 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, that may just be the first time he showed up in Gloucester. The implication is he hasn't been around that long, but it also hasn't been, like, the Round Table Army hasn't actually been there that long either. But yeah.
While we're talking, hey, what's that? It's a mural.
Weird mural detected.
Quick, activate your scanner.
Lore detected.
It's a depiction of 6 figures around a great horned beast, which looks like a dragon underneath it, having some sort of festival. Percy mentions that it's from the Fae era. It appears that the horned creature is very loving, and Da Vinci thinks that the mirror is religious, a term that Percy doesn't understand. He can only say that it was from the Rain clan who used to live in Orkney. Apparently it depicts the creation of Britain, and is known as the Abyssal Worm. Princess Jeep's jump scare.
Yeah, so we learned that Orkney used to belong to the Rain clan, which is interesting. They haven't been mentioned before. But also, I think I've played enough games to know where this Abyssal Worm thing is going. Nowhere good.
Nowhere good. Da Vinci is pretty sure that the Horned Beast is a god, probably the 6 clans worshipping it. The reason why no one knows of it, though, is that it's probably because Morgan erased the records, so fairies would have no other power to believe in but besides her. We are a bit flummoxed, because we can't understand the mural, but Percy, being quite sharp, says that he will have the mural preserved and have teams look for more artifacts and even records. Oberon says that once we take over Norwich, this will become much easier. Cue record scratch. Just wait, what was that? In the war room, we learned that after the calamity was taken out, Spriggan called on the Queen's army for aid, saying that his people were traitorous and using that excuse to kill them and take the land back. The Round Table Army doesn't want the people slaughtered, so they're moving to do what they can. They are not well liked by the people, though, but are still willing to go. We and Oberon share a look, and we have to speak up, telling Artoria that we should go ring that bell. Artoria musters up her courage and speaks, talking about how the people who never asked her for her help, but only encouraged her and wished her luck. So she wants to do what she can too, and she's going to need their help to do so. Percival says something that I like here, specifically that he doesn't know if this battle will be for good or evil, but he promises it'll be for a better future.
Yeah, that's always another good one. A recurring theme, honestly, of these sorts of stories as well.
Yeah.
This is also, by the way, literally that's a thing that is said in Final Fantasy 16.
Oh, really? Sick.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I don't know where you're at either, but it's not literally that line, but there's statements about some things we're doing where it's
wait, yeah, no, I do,
Yeah.
I do remember that scene. Yeah, it's when Clive's talking to Jill in the hideout. Yeah,
and she basically says, "I don't know if we're doing good or evil, but we're gonna do stuff to change stuff because we have to." And very very similar vibes are being said here.
Mm-hmm.
I do also appreciate this comparison to the people of Londinium with all the other people who've introduced to the Child of Prophecy. Yes, we've had some encouragement for her, but in general, most people just kind of assume the Child of Prophecy will fix their shit. Whereas the people of Londinium are just kind of like, oh, hey, you're the Child of Prophecy? That's cool. That's rad. Do you need anything?
Also, other people are all like, you're the Child of Prophecy, but you gotta do something to prove it first. Otherwise, we're not gonna help you. Londinium is all like, we will help you.
Yeah, the clan leaders are all like, okay, you might be the Child of Prophecy or might not. It doesn't matter to me unless you do the thing, What can you do for me?
Mm-hmm.
But here in Londinium, we're just like, oh, neat. You need something? You need a snack? Need this piece of bread? Need a knife? So, yeah.
So, with the Child of Prophecy now on their side, Percival is now way too excited and starts info dumping on the group. Unsurprisingly, it takes a lot of people and a lot of people in charge of this to run a settlement. Da Vinci tells them to run it by her later, though.
This is why she is the smart one.
Mm-hmm. The real numbers are that they'll have about 400 troops to take into the city, and that the Kront will bolster their forces by another 400. I might have been wrong with this number, I think, but I'm not sure now.
No, I think that sounds about right. Because our core army isn't actually that big.
It's not a lot of people, but the Round Table Army has been training in anti-fairy combat, so they won't be outclassed at least.
Technically, Percival breaks it down even further than Lucky's you've gotten your notes here, because he talks about how many platoons of regulars they've gotten, shit like that.
Yeah, no, this is why I'm starting to get. I started this is a fucking war story here. We're talking about there's a lot of points where we're talking about troop movements, reinforcements, setting up defensive lines, sieges. This is all later, but
yeah,
there's a lot of writing on just actual troop movement and stuff. It's kind of wild. But again, I do not want to bog down the show with just so many individual notes. There's other things to talk about, the problem comes from Spriggan's vault castle, which is nigh impregnable, and about only a small infiltration team will be able to access. Of course, that is left to us. We have about 3 hours left before the deployment, so everyone scatters to take care of their own things. Habitrack goes to help with the textile works, Gareth apprentices herself to Percy, Muramasa goes down to instruct the smithy, Oberon goes out to gather information that would potentially turn Aurora into a honey trap for Wood Woes, I gotta say it right, so he doesn't reinforce Norwich. Da Vinci is going to go touch bases with the secretary, and Artoria is going to take a cat nap. I decided to go check on Retrobit. Apparently, he's been swamped by kids.
Yeah, I didn't write it down. What was the other choice here?
I believe it was you can also go take a nap.
Oh, maybe I did go see Retrobit then, if it was a nap. I'm not sure. But also a note, I don't list out their names, but Percival does list out the names of all of his commanders, and I just went, uh-oh, the mob shirts have names. We're going ham on this.
There is a command structure.
Which I guess, on the one hand, some of this is probably just Nasu just started drawing a diagram of the command team and just was like, fuck it, I wrote it, I'll put it in there.
Well, it's probably the same reason we got the name of Nova Caldeum too. People have names.
Yes. And also I think that this level of, like you said, this level of structure that Percival puts on us makes you go, oh, this is real. This is not just some of these other fairies we know are just fucking around doing shit. This is real. We have structure, command, officers. We have a mixture. There are, some divisions led by fairies, some divisions led by humans. It's a whole thing.
All right. Excuse me. I was hydrating.
Yeah.
So, we now move on to Section 12, Norwich 2!
Yep.
We start with Percival speaking about his upbringing, being raised in a human ranch in Salisbury, how he was decently cared for and got an education, but that stopped when the fairy running it died, so he went on his own, honing his land skills. He made it to the finals of a jousting tournament and had the chance to meet Queen Morgan. That's when he knew that he had to oppose her, for with her, nothing would change.
Yep, we get a backstory dump.
He then talks about the white light, the spear of selection, apparently is one of Ash's weapons, and only those without sin may wield it, and no fairy can. We wonder if they are the same things as the staff, but Artoria mentions that it feels like it's empty and hasn't chosen anyone. Apparently, the spear laments a past failure, and its grief manifests as tears of white light. It is no longer a weapon to save fairies, but to kill them. And Percy believes that there will be a day here when he will not be able to wield it either. Habitrot, silent sprite here.
Yeah, so we learn about a magic spear. I like this conversation, right? Like, they say the spear feels sad, like it failed someone. And then this is the thing, the sadness is what turns to magical energy. It wells up like tears when Percival swings it.
Yeah, well,
like,
because we
damn,
learned from
that's
Maeve that, magical energy can manifest and all that crazy stuff.
Also, this is where I put my note, by the way, of lots of sin in this Lostbelt all of a sudden for having no gods.
So, Fairy Officer Aurelia is here to make us talk about the plan, and we're going to be infiltrating through a sewer, a classic, and meeting up with the Count's forces. And the Count is here, and all I'm going to say is I am thankful for Pepe being Pepe.
Yeah, I wrote in my notes here that Pepe wastes no time wilting melodramatically into Percy's giant arms.
After a mild threat of revealing their real name, we move on.
Yeah, we're just like, Pepe, keep your shit together.
Pepe has a plan and splits us up into Team B and C. And when we comment there is no Team A, Pepe remarks that they are right, and one day, Kadak, and us will have to fix that one day. I didn't cry, but I had to lay down from emotional devastation.
Yeah, that's a deep cutter. Unfortunately, that just made me ask the logical question, where I'm just like, wait a minute, where the fuck is Kadak? Anyway, is he still in his poison coma?
I think he's still in his poison coma, yeah.
Also missed an opportunity to mention Python again.
Mm-hmm.
Not that, again, because we don't acknowledge her in the main story, Pepe would not know that she's walking around Chaldea. But yeah, no, like, I like this emotional moment, and it's very deep, but also it makes me immediately think like, oh yeah, it's right, we did save Kadak. What the fuck is he doing? Because he's still sleeping on the storm border.
Yeah, no, oh. So, we continue on, though, and Spriggan seems to have a scheme, and I don't like it.
Yeah, Spriggan continues to be the 5D chess master. Like, my notes, I say, like, he really is only on... The only side Spriggan is on is Spriggan's, but, like, he doesn't plan on anything but just ruling Norwich. It's kind of an odd vibe, right?
Mm-hmm. It might be because that's all he feels he can handle.
True. We'll talk a little bit more about him later, because there's some, back and forth reveals, but yeah, like...
Yeah. But we start fighting through the streets, and I have to ask, has this bass theme ever been used before? I don't think it has.
Which one?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I don't remember, but there is, new original music in this, so I would not be surprised.
Mm-hmm. After a couple battles through the streets, we see that the way to the bell tower is clear. Like, actually clear. There's no guards. Is Spriggan trying to rig the game in his favor? It seems that Spriggan is on Spriggan's side.
Yep.
We, approach the bell, and there's a night caller here. It is quite literal.
Can't sleep, bell's haunted.
It was an actual Spriggan sprite, so I was like, son of a bitch.
It's a great joke.
After the battle, here comes Spriggan clapping out the darkness like he was the true mastermind. He's a slippery little weasel and tries to play like he had nothing to do with this. Even Oberon has his, I'm fucking done with this guy face. Spriggan has made himself very inconvenient to be killed, so much so that people start to wonder about him. Da Vinci straight up calling him out, he's actually human. But that point is mute, and he is put in the corner where he belongs.
Yeah, so this is where I kind of get more about his weird vibe. So he's not even a fairy. This just makes perfect sense why he's so good at capitalism and industry and not picking sides. He is being very human about this. He's a drifter. His only attachment in life is to the Vault Castle. And all I got to say to you, Spriggan, head of the Earth Clan, is these following words of wisdom. You can't take it with you. Someday you are going to fucking die, and it will be pointless. And maybe you should have thought about those things beforehand, because I can't imagine the way that you're going to die is good. However this catches up with you, buddy, you're going to have a bad time, okay? All right. Yeah, we've got the bell. The bell's there.
So Artoria takes a moment to think about where she has been and where she is going, and rings her first bell of pilgrimage. It is heard across Fairy Britain.
God, this bell is loud.
It's very loud. Aurora speaks about going to the next part of the plan. Koinskaya and Miriam talk about the upcoming war. Koinskaya says we can't win this game, but that's because we are not players in this game. Still, it's not a bad idea to bet on us, though. Thanks, Scary Fox Smirk.
Yeah, I like this. I said, Miriam, you should listen to the old fox. She's seen a lot more games and cut her losses more than I think you physically can. Like, Miriam has only had one Lostbelt to play with. Koinskaya has been doing this game for This is her 6th, so yeah. It's you really should trust her experience. She knows a lot about this stuff.
Nock is just happy for her friend.
Yeah.
But true to her word, Morgan declares the
yeah, you forgot to capitalize B, so it's just the cop. I like this. Now Castoria needs to make wee woo noises.
I need Castoria with a gun, just saying freeze.
Ooh, that'd be scary. God, she needs the gun, though. Can you imagine how much simpler this would be if we just gave her a gun? Just Aurora's like, you cannot ring the bell. Like,
egg. I'ma save your butt.
Now, who can't do it? But yeah.
But true to word, Morgan declares the Child of Prophecy an enemy of the state and takes action immediately, sending Woodrose to Londinium. And afterwards, Morgan summons a knight from the chessboard.
Yes,
apparently
of
there's a
course
chessboard.
Morgan has a fucking giant chessboard in her office. She would.
Mm-hmm. It's Portune of the Mirror Clan, who will be the advisor to Gawain and Lancelot, but they will not be going to Londinium.
Mm-hmm. Yep, no, this is bad.
Bad news
I
bears.
don't like this. Also, I want to say this out. When the bell rings, like all the fairies in Morgan's court hear it, and the way they react is just, ugh. Morgan, are you sure you run the Sealy Fae? These guys are like a nest of vipers. It's like all of your courtiers are red caps. Like, they are just like, oh, well, they'll get it now, those dirty little rebels. Yeah. Fuck yeah. I bet the Tamlin are gonna kill him on. I'm just like, oh my god. Jesus. These guys suck. If Morgan has to talk to these people all day, it's no wonder she hates all of them.
Mm-hmm. So, post-bell ringing, Arturia gets a power-up, complete with shaders. A lot of work here.
Yep.
Oberon immediately panics, which was kind of the tension break I needed, if I'm going to be real.
Now she has her jobs done.
And that is that segment. And now we go to Fragment 5. Oi, why is the map fog done again? Why is the map zooming in? Oh, it's just a framping. I just had a small panic there.
Yeah, I know. I mentioned it before, but this is the moment when they do that little pull-in on the map where I'm just like, no, wait. I'm like, oh my god, wait, no. But yeah, Fragment 5. Stuff is happening.
So we return to Mash's perspective. She wakens on a beast, dazed and confused. Abitrot is there, and she seems very eager to kill us. She yells about
I put in my notes here, like, Habitrot, are you sure you aren't a red cap?
She yells about Ash and how there isn't any Norwich here. But it seems that this isn't Habitrot, but Totorot.
My neighbor Totorot.
Tamlin Totorot. She still loves the name Happy Cat, though.
Yes.
I put this in all caps. A lot of things just clicked into place.
Yeah, I immediately cottoned on to what had happened to Mash when I was seeing this in context, where it's like, Norwich isn't there. Habitrot doesn't know her. She's got a different name. And Mash, I have 6 words for you. Let's do the time warp again.
So Mash has traveled to the past before the era of the High Queen and has met the savior Ash, who looks the same as Arturia, and as the narrator says, Mash is about to continue a start and witness Ash's last and final battle.
Yeah, so if anybody is wondering why Ash looks identical to our fairy Arturia, remember that earlier conversation about fairy generations. If Arturia truly is supposed to be the new savior-type fairy, she's supposed to look like her predecessors. That is actually a thing the fairies talk about. You know, new fairies of different generations who have the same purpose are supposed to be similar. There are a couple of subtle differences in Ash's story sprite, I believe, but yeah, it's a thing. So it's funny because we've crossed the 3-hour mark. It is almost midnight my time, though the video itself's not super long, so it should still be okay. But it's very funny because my first note on Section 13, Wales 2, is this fucker is 9 pips. This is where I take a break for the night. Because that's when I took a break for the night. I finished Fragment 5 and I was like, fuck, 9? Okay, I'll come back later. I mean, we're obviously not going to catch up with the thing. How are you feeling about the the shoju so far, because we have been going for over 3 hours.
Let's see here.
We did hit a
still got-
break, so if we wanted to pop off, we could.
Yeah, but that just means more we have to do. And
Yeah, I know. It's more work later, so I'm okay going forward for a little bit more. Because we've only got, really got 2, but...
Yeah.
Wales
only
2
got-
is a little bit of a humdinger, but we'll get through it.
So let's... Hang on. I gotta fight a sneeze again. 1 second.
Yep.
had to force it out. So, we move on to section 13, Wales. Ringing the bell gave Artoria tinnitus.
Yeah, the ringing will never end.
Artoria dreams of another Artoria, the King of Kings, with a 6 CG. Though she may not be able to recognize something in this memory. But regardless, Artoria cannot stand the sight of her other self of her.
By the way, I wanted to actually look it up because this is the use of a track again called In the Garden. It's originally from the Garden of Avalon drama CD. It's basically like Merlin's leitmotif or theme.
Mhm.
It's used in the, Merlin talking at the very beginning of this Lostbelt scene. But also, it is used in a very particular scene with Foe.
I remember
the one where
this.
he talks. Yeah, so that's why I think this, a lot of our audience, you may recognize this track and why I think this one has always stuck with me. And there's a certain quality about it for sure.
Mhm.
So it's interesting that it comes on back.
So we have escaped Norwich and are heading back to Londinium, and we remark about horse-drawn carriages and why they're not commonplace. Turns out if something becomes too common, it may wipe out the fairies associated with. Part of the balancing act Morgan has to deal with, it seems.
Yeah, the way I compared it is Morgan's like a gardener with a bonsai tree. She does protect some fairy niches, but only the ones she wants, Ugh. Sorry, stretching. Sorry, I shouldn't be shocked Robyn has access to so many of these bite emotes, but he does. Much chaos.
People are just... You're all animals. All of you. I run a zoo. But continuing on, but alas, Morgan also hates bugs. So bug-type fairies are persecuted and fled to the autumn woods to die. That's where Oberon was summoned to, in a fragile state due to Fairy Britain not liking proper human history. He was so weak that he would have faded away if not for the insect fairies surrounding him, calling them their king, and cheering him on. So Oberon fights for their sake.
And this is where we get a very particular CG, a very specific CG.
Very nice. We talk about the upcoming battle and learn a bit about how the Fang clan fight. They hit hard and are mobile, so they seem to be good as cavalry, but bad at holding territory in sieges.
Yeah, the way I compared it is, so if this is an RTS game, Woodbows and the Fang clan are basically scouts / anti-infantry, similar to the way cavalry are used in some. They move fast, they're cheap on upkeep, they don't do shit about fortified buildings and sieges. If we could invent tanks, we'd probably have them cleaned up in no time.
So, ringing the bell has apparently given Artoria as much power as Morgan's pinky. But we have 5 more to go. But alas, we only know where 4 of the bells are. Where the Mirian King's clan bell is. We know where the King's clan bell is, as it is in the root of the world tree in the ruins of Orkney. Habitat Silent Sprite. But we have no idea where the mirror clan bell is. We speak more of Warren's strategy. We speak more of Warren's strategy. You know, this Lostbelt has a lot more large-scale battle talk than I would have thought. Anyways, we're going to hold out here and play defense until we can get support from Norwich. We flash over to the Queen's army camp, where Fuckboy is telling Woodwows that the Queen has ordered him to not move at all, a fact that Woodwows hates, and that everyone seems to be confused by. Barry has thoughts, Fuckboy thoughts, and decides to hang around to see what happens.
Yeah, there's a lot of weirdness going on.
We enter a battle. Why are we finding delivery people? Why is there the chef here? Oh, they were trying to pass themselves as food delivery people, and apparently it almost worked if not for Gareth.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
But we get a messenger, and surprise, Norwich isn't sending anyone, because who would have guessed a city of selfish humans and fairies will go help someone other than themselves? The Count is doing what they can, though.
Yeah, as usual, the Norwichians are very self-serving. Obviously, we talked about how they're, kind of attached to their land for reasons, but their general vibe is like, what's that? Calamity? Oh, shit, you saved us? Cool. Oh, we didn't need to be saved after that thing with those guys? Yeah, fuck it. We're not doing anything.
We are considering ringing the next bell, but we are interrupted by a messenger bearing news from Gloucester. Apparently, Tamlin Tristan is leading a group of knights to the Welsh woods. Oberon tries to go immediately, but stops when he realizes that he won't be able to do anything. We are not letting him go alone, though, and everyone but Habichat is going to stop them. Habatrot says that we have to humiliate Gwen to uncover her gift and true name. If we can make them disavow their knife selves, we can win.
Yeah, so we fought some siege battles there. Woodrose is like always on the edge of losing it, but this is the haymaker Morgan threw a while ago saying, what we're going to be doing, which is, Gawain's going to go burn down Wales, and Habatrot drops that knowledge on us. If the Tamlin reject their knightly name, they allegedly lose their gift they've been given and stop being Tamlin. Supposedly. Allegedly. But yes, you have a note here about, I think the map theme does change a little. There's like a piano element that gets added that wasn't there before.
Yep, I do say that the map change days again. It sounds more desperate and intense than I remember. And it is poignant because we are not in time. The Autumn Winds is burning. And we learned that Artoria's PTSD reaction is fight.
Yep.
We have to slap some sense back into Artoria, but then Tamlin Gwen shows up and says that we were too late. Now we gotta slap her, excuse me. Artoria, oh man, I'm flubbing here. Thankfully, Artoria has figured out a way to stop her draining our command seals, but it only worked for 3 turns. This first fight, I think I was pretty fortunate. I was able to land a crit totaling over 300k with Super Orion, and I was working with a Merlin Waver for support. Merlin did go down, but that was only because for 4 turns, Tamlin Gwen only attacked him. It was a little wild.
Oh, does she have? She might have the old Merlin punching AI.
I think this is true for just in general, because in the second fight, my Tamamo got targeted a lot. Not every time, but I think
yeah, she is in the second
time.
one. She's got her weird taunt thing, so that fucks it up because I think that's actually designed to switch up a little. But yeah.
Suddenly Muramasa is sudden and super helpful. I did like this actually in the battle. Muramasa jumps in and takes out her foul weather buff.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It was pretty sick. Artoria suddenly knows a lot about the real Gwen and lays it out who Tamlin Gwen really is, because it was on the back of a receipt. It's Barghest. And I feel like this bit right here was a bit contrived. It also does go some lift to maybe know how Artoria knew her before, but I find it really weird that this is the moment that, Artoria decides to bring this up and try to act badass about it.
Well, she did mention it because she said "ba" earlier in the carriage.
Yeah.
She knew it was Barghest before and is not afraid to speak the name, but it is kind of odd. I think maybe she just, after we had to go about our business, just put it out of her mind to not bring it up again until just now. But yeah, it is. This does, I think, say a little bit about this is the time when we need the true name reveal switch. So it gets a little fuzzy.
Yeah.
But yeah, she says her name and tries to get her to be like, you're not like Gawain, and she's just like, rar.
Yeah, apparently this matters very little, as Barghest seems to only grow stronger. She even mentions how the Gwyth was kind of holding her back. It seems like she was actually weakened by the name?
Yeah, I don't get what the exact implication is. I think the idea is that, not entirely, because she's still herself when we get out of the fight, but I think the idea is kind of that, playing the role of Gawain meant that she was kind of restricted in some of her moves she would do. And now that she's not restrained, she's just like, well, time to nuke everybody.
So, the second fight was a lot harder, but I enjoyed it overall. Though I will say it was 50% luck and 50% skill calculating skill timing. I fielded my Tamamo no tank, who went under 200 HP twice, and would have been taken out if I hadn't around Caliburn at 300% the turn before. Castoria did go out at turn 18, but then Super Orion stepped out with a Buster card in hand and Barghest under 70k. The fight was over at 19 turns.
Yeah, so, hey, this is actually, I've been thinking about this. This is actually good to get multiple perspectives, because we go different ways on this, because FGO is, at times, RNG based.
Yes.
It's unfortunate, but true. And I think technically this makes us even on revives, because you had to revive because of random bad crits against the Hand Calamity.
Yeah.
And I had to spend a revive on Barghest, because I did not fucking have a good time. I did not like this fight. I think I immediately grasped what the intent of the design was with your support servants. They want you to maximize the story support tricks, because, Castoria now does this thing where she automatically procs her charisma skill every 3 turns. This is the first time we get playable Oberon, actually, as an archer, oddly enough. This is the first key that some stuff is a little weird. But his NP firing and skill selection seems intended to pad out those Barghest turns, but because you're still limited by normal playable skill utility, which the NPCs are still not, I felt like I saw what they wanted me to do, but did not have perfect control over the field, and it's still, for me, it kind of turns into a dumb DPS race that you basically can't get ahead of, because not only does she get stronger every time she kills one of you, and again, I had to revive, so yes, she ate my entire 6-man team once, and then I had to go again. But, you know, she still tanks damage like a motherfucker. Like, she still has, you know, no class disadvantages damage-wise, and gets some of her damage reduction. Not quite the same, but there's some level of it. I don't know. I think this kind of DPS race is kind of dumb overall. I don't like it. And, like, lucky yourself, you had a better time because you were able to set it up so you did not have to engage in that DPS race with her. You know,
Yeah,
you said
no,
you only
like-
lost one servant.
Well, yeah, like, again, I think, like, having Arturia Inc. and Oberon is good because Oberon puts Vargas to sleep, which, you know, eats up a turn, and even though she's, like, invincible at the time, you can still get off hits to build up MP charge and whatnot. The
Also,
thing
you
is...
can, my strat was always put Oberon as the last card.
Oh, yeah,
That also works.
that does too. But the thing about, like, when I say I was lucky is because I use Tomo, who has things that give, you know, help generate MP and, you know, has skill cooldowns. So generally, whenever Vargas was about to do something scary, I usually had an NP or some sort of hard defense at the ready to counter it.
And you phrase it as Tomo no tank, but what level is your Tomo? Did you get her to
120?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of HP. The fact that she got taken down to around 200 a couple of times is very scary, and a lot of people who don't have those extra copies and have had that time to put that time in, because it's very, very EXP intense.
Yeah.
Actually, do you remember how long it took you to get her to 120? It was a while. I know you were working on it, but...
Well, no, I did it last anniversary. That was what I spent my entire anniversary doing.
Yes, yeah, it was just all the anniversary period. You got one servant to 120, yeah. So it's definitely that kind of thing where your different teams will end up different ways. I do think it's interesting that we basically ended our fights both the same way, which was Super Orion showed up and decided to crit, but mine was more of a desperate, like, Super Orion, I need you to fucking crit this Buster card, otherwise we're going to have to revive a second time. And he was like, got it, Chief. And I'm like, woo! So, yeah, it's very interesting to see where this goes about how it shakes out. In general, this kind of, like, gave me a thought that I do kind of hope they flatten out the difficulty curve a little in future installments, especially if they're going to block up, like, half my team on mandatory story picks. There's, like, still 6 or 7 blocks of paper left to read. Like, the way this ends, right? I don't necessarily know what the story beat we were going for with this meat wall. Like, it wasn't necessarily that, like, oh my god, she's still super powerful, because it's not a fight we have to lose. And previously, this Lostbelt's been really good about stall fights or fights you can lose. Right? Like, remember that fight with Tamlin Lancelot where the fight is over when you actually get around to losing. But this one is one you have to win, but, like, she's still, like, really tanky and stronger than ever, and you don't really win in the story. So I'm like, I don't know if this is supposed to feel like, oh yeah, we did it, because it doesn't really story-wise feel like a high five moment we got her, because we don't really get her. So yeah, it reads a little weird, and I'm hoping that maybe we can flatten stuff out. That said, I'm pretty sure for the rest of this Lostbelt, we don't do that. But I'm just hoping for, like, 6.5 and 7, it's like, man, I feel like there are better ways to compensate for just how crazy some of the people out there can get with their DPS levels, and I don't know, this isn't quite it. I would have had more fun if her attack ups for killing your units maybe did go away eventually, or could be removed, like with buff removal. I think there could be some things that like Oberon does that with his NP, removes offensive buffs.
I thought they did. That did.
No, her, at least I'm pretty sure her hitters when she kills your units is a permanent. It's got a square on it.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I think I wouldn't have known because Extra said she only killed one of my units. So yeah.
No, yeah, that doesn't go away with Oberon, which I think would have been a little more productive. And the other thing is, somebody mentioned this in chat as well. Her big eater, strong eater buff that's basically random. I don't think there is a pattern to when she decides to proc that skill, and it's bad. It's a real bad if she keeps that up, because she will keep eating your buffs, and it's hard to stay ahead of her DPS growth. It's just, again, FGO is random sometimes, and when the RNG is against you, it doesn't feel fun. I was reminded, was it fucking Demeter who has a chance to skill seal herself? And I think Lucky and I both never saw that happen. She just did the thing every time. I don't fucking know. Yeah, it's like, Yeah, it's rough. Yes, that's one of her default skills is, or are you talking about Demeter Axe? Both are true. Like I said, I think it was Demeter. It was Demeter or Aphrodite has confusion on herself. She has a chance to skill seal herself. Some people got it a lot. Other times, like I said, I never saw it. But yeah, no, Bargus did her Big Eater buff a lot for me, and that was a lot harder to stay ahead of her by neutralizing damage when she was like, yes, your invulnerability, I eat it. I ate your evade. And I'm just like, well, shit. But it's funny because, you don't actually talk about this next. Oh, no, yeah, you say it's interesting. I like the next fight a lot better. I think that one's a lot more interesting in terms of, like, your strategy is very forced and obviously is decided by your card RNG, but, like, is a much more specific, like, hey, try this out. Can you make it work? Like,
so...
Go ahead. You have thoughts before that. I'll get into the battle when we get there.
Yeah, so after the fight, we flash on over to Percy, who is losing himself in a bit of rage, but Muramasa snaps him out of him. Grandpa's worried about his grandkids, though, so he's going to go look after them while Percy and Gareth clean up. Gareth spots an ambush and saves Percy, and lo and behold, it was Knight Portune, and he was hiding behind a mirror. I didn't mention the era, but apparently he's from the Mirror Clan, and they can actually do shit with mirrors. It's wild.
Yeah, they can see the future, but also he can camouflage his ass.
So, it's Gareth and Percy versus Portune, and this is an interesting low-level battle. It's engaging, though, because Knight Portune has an ability that basically makes him immune to damage, but Gareth just has to tap him, and he loses it.
Yeah.
So
Gareth has a permanent sure hit buff and cancels his mirror camouflage on every card, so you gotta pick your command cards in your best order to suit you and pop your skills right. Because everybody's doing neutral damage.
Yep. After beating him, though, Knight Portune flees and Percy is about to give chase, but Tamlin Lancelot drops down and knows Percy's name. More shocked Percy face. So Arturia is high on victory, but Bargus refused to be cowed and makes Arturia very meek again. At least she is calling us by name now. Improvement. I know she just burnt down a forest of innocent insect fairies, but I love Bargus so much. With the fight over, though, we try talking to Bargus, and she doesn't deny what we say about Morgan, but she then asks us why we fight to save a world doomed. I copied my exact responses. It's all like, no, I couldn't. I know this doesn't make sense, but I do not want to let what might happen tomorrow ruin today. Bargus seems to think this is over, but Muramasa calls her by name, and that doesn't go over well for some odd reason. She says not to call her by name. I have a really bad feeling about this. At the moment, there is an attack, and you try to save Bargus. She saves you instead. Knight Portune reveals himself and says that Bargus will be considered a traitor if she doesn't kill us now. She doesn't, not after trying to save her. Portune flees again to share the news, and Bargus is going to return to the capital. She tells us that even though her mission was completed, you are forcing her to return, and that means you have beaten her. A reason for victory. But, regardless, a lot of lives are lost here, and on a somber note, we leave Oberon to grieve. We make camp for the night to wait for Oberon. Percy and Gareth are already there, and they were able to hold Lancelot at bay for a while, but she left after the fire was put out. We learned something a bit shocking. All of Britain is made of fairy corpses. Apparently, when they die, do not fade, they just become the land. Apparently, Britain used to be a lot smaller.
Yeah, I just put in my notes. This may be taking the metaphor too far. But no, the land is literally built on the corpses of everybody who came before. It's pretty heavy.
It's pretty heavy.
And these guys say it, as usual, our fairy friends say it like it's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, what? What'd you say? What the fuck did you say to me? This tree is a corpse? This blade of grass? Damn, that's heavy.
We flash on over to Knight Portune as he flees, and something that is supposed to be dead eats Portune. He tries to say a name. I have a really, really bad feeling about this.
Yeah, remember how that Storm King thing in the forest? Yeah, something bad happened to this guy. I also, by the way, almost verbatim put this in my notes. Portune is eaten by somebody who should be dead. And I'm just like, yeah, no, that's something we should note. That's bad. Something bad happened here.
Something bad happened here. I'm not okay.
And we don't even get to cover it because that's the fucking cliffhanger. Because then we go to Fragment 6, which we are. Last note for tonight. And won't be that long. The fragments are very short so far. I suspect they will get a lot longer later, but for now they're pretty straightforward.
So we are back in the Fae era 400 with the Tree of Emptiness Hold. They call it the World Tree, though. Mash has told Ash and Totorod about the future, and Ash sees this as she will ultimately fail. Ash tells Mash that she can travel with them, but she can't tell anyone else about the future. Mash thinks it's because changing future stuff means Mash thinks it's because changing. Oh, I wrote this right. I wrote this wrong. I must have been drunk or something. Mash thinks this is because she will change the future, but Ash means more that it might warp destiny and alter memory. Basically, the more that she tells, the more that it might alter herself. I'm not entirely sure what they mean by here, but talking about the future bad. I got that.
Yeah. No. Like I said, I put in my notes here. Ash seems a lot more knowledgeable than her current saver. She immediately reminds Mash of the Temporal Prime Directive, which you think Mash being a time cop would know about, but yeah. So it's interesting to see that kind of perspective there, yes. But also, yes, time keeps on slipping.
Mash tries to get a handle on the time and learns a bit about the War of Summer. It was the second invasion from Ireland by Queen Mab and her human slave army. They almost succeeded. Suddenly, Black Knight, he was there and was helping Ash, fended her off. Apparently, Queen Mab had Albion's protection and could have won, but backed off at the last second and made a truce. Black Knight is here, and he is too old for this shit, as he has an undying body and wants his next attempt to be the last. After 10,000 years of fighting, the clan's heads have finally agreed to live under a new king. Apparently, a human king named Uther fought and united the clans and is marrying Mab to bring everyone together. Did Mab fall in love with Uther, and that's the reason why she fucking stopped all this bullshit?
Probably. Who the fuck knows? We'll see. I'm sure we'll meet him later. By the way, I think this is a good point for me to put in this note. Encyclopedia Britannica defines dramatic irony as a literary device by which the audience or reader's understanding of events or individuals in a work surpasses that of its characters. That is currently what we are experiencing right now. Textbook dramatic irony.
Because we already know how this is going to play out, and it sucks. It really sucks. I don't want to be here. I don't want to see how this plays out.
Mash, take me back. We gotta get back.
Black Knight grouses about...
We gotta get back.
Black Knight grouses about the coronation being held in Londinium and not Salisbury, but Ash talks about how the Great Pit is too close and scary, and she would need someone brave and strong with the energy of a fairy who wasn't from Britain and wants to help. She trails off here as she realizes who just joined her party. Let's go run a dungeon real quick.
Yeah, so in general, my notes about this is there's a lot of stuff happening here, and knowing what little I know of the timeline going forward, I'm happy about even less of it. But man, we are just moving at a clip. But I do want to say, this does kind of mean that Ash and Artoria are more similar than you'd expect so far. Like, I think Ash says specifically she's been fighting her specific battles for like 2,000 years, and she's still like, ooh, endgame dungeon.
Let's go!
Yeah. And I'm sure nothing bad will happen.
Well,
yeah, that's where we hit the points where our notes stop. Section 14, the eve of the decisive battle. 1. Which is not that long. I think it's like 5 or 6 pips. So we will continue on for next week's stream. But we're at about 3:45. Technically, there should be a fan servant Friday this week, but we'll have to push that to next time because it is after midnight. Only by a little, but we are keeping on. And I do not suspect it will be a super bad edit because it isn't. It's only like 3.5, 3:45 hours. But I do got to get working on it, so we'll go ahead and wrap up here. Remember, Grendel won, so we'll talk about that next week, which will be episode 300. Crazy. Doing this for 300 episodes. So stay tuned for that. That's where we'll cover down all of the anniversary stuff we got going on. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to check out What's Up, which will be live streamed on YouTube probably, definitely, Saturday, the day we do that thing. And keep your eyes peeled for One to Coin Sky.
yeah! Let's go.
I'm in the middle of scripting that. It's an interesting one because I think Coin Sky may be the first servant who is like completely complete. I mean, not necessarily because she's still like artist of Tamamo, but still like almost entirely FGO based originally. Like, even Castoria harkens to the concept of Artoria as a character from Fate Stay Night and how they're different,
Mm-hmm.
So it's an interesting write, but we've got some stuff. Anyway, if, chat doesn't have anything else to bonkle us with, to, bamboozle me, to flashbang me with words, we'll be skedoodling on out of here. And so, the skedoodling goes a little something like this. Oops. Sorry, I accidentally clicked and dragged something in Google Docs. Makes things get a little freaky. Anyway. If you're watching the video on YouTube and you liked it, be sure to give it a like. You can leave a comment in the comment section down below. You can also join our Discord channel, link in the description and our channel page. You can also make sure to subscribe for more content like that Wanted and like other stuff coming out. And even if you're always subscribed, make sure to ring that bell for notifications so you'll always know when we're posting new stuff. You can also join our channel memberships. Click the membership button, the join button, or the link below. Get access to membership badges and emotes. And like I said at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. Get access to the audio version of this show early for as little as $1 a month, or approximately $10 a year. It's technically, July 1st now as of the time I'm speaking these words. So, hey, it's a new month. New perfect time to join. And I think that's everything. Tune in next time for more badness.
Oh, God.